शिंदे और देवेंद्र फडणवीस के मंत्री मंडल का विस्तार हुआ और उस मंत्रिमंडल में जो मंत्री का नाम आया अब्दुल सत्तार, उसके दोनों उनकी लड़की उस टीटी स्कैम के लाभार्थी बन चुके। और ऐसे भ्रष्टाचारी आदमी को और टीटी स्कैम में जिनका डायरेक्ट इनडायरेक्टली जिनका सहयोग है, ऐसे अब्दुल सत्तार को फिर एक बार मंत्री पद शपथ लेकर उसको मंत्री बनाया।
Meanwhile, as we wrap out, Jharkhand Chief Minister Hemant Soren today inaugurated the tribal festival in his state. He came out to say that this is a grand event, a matter of pride for the state and an effort towards raising the voice of the tribal society.
आज ये आदिवासी महोत्सव झारखंड राज्य अलग होने के बाद पहली बार इस राज्य में मनाया जा रहा है। आज के इस अवसर पर मैं सर्वप्रथम बाबा तिलका माझी, भगवान बिरसा मुंडा, सिद्धू कानू, राणा पुंजात, तिलंगा खरिया, पोटो हो, फूलो झानो, पात तोगान संगमा, जतरा भगत, कोमाराम, भीम नायक, काटा भील, बुद्धू भगत जैसे वीर नायकों को अपनी ओर से नमन करता हूं। और आज इस आदिवासी दिवस पर विशेषकर मैं बाबा भीमराव अंबेडकर जी एवं डॉक्टर जयपाल सिंह मुंडा जी को विशेष रूप से इस मंच से याद करना चाहूंगा कि जिनके प्रयास से आदिवासी समाज के हितों की रक्षा के लिए भारतीय संविधान में हमें विशेष प्रावधान जनजातीय समाज के लिए हो पाया। निश्चित रूप से आज झारखंड के लिए, जहां पर सबसे अधिक जनजातीय समूह वास करते हैं, उनके लिए ऐतिहासिक और गौरव का दिन होगा।
We had for you in this broadcast. On the other side, Rahul Shivshankar joins you with details on the breakup that has happened in Bihar and the fallout.
Thanks indeed, Priya. Yes, viewers, dramatic political earthquake today. Dramatic only because it threatens to completely re-alter the landscape before the 2024 Lok Sabha elections. Viewers, over the last 24 hours, Nitish Kumar has plotted his way back into the Gathbandhan. And in the next 24 hours, most likely, he will take oath as Chief Minister of Bihar for the 8th time. 8th time. His latest term in office comes on the back of a massive U-turn that sees him dump the BJP and embrace Lalu Yadav's RJD, the Gandhi-led Congress and a host of regional outfits. The return to the Gathbandhan is being hailed as a major boost for the beleaguered opposition ahead of the 2024 Lok Sabha elections by the RJD, the Congress, the Samajwadi Party and a number of other parties that are hoping that under Nitish they can come together, challenge Modi and oust him. But many feel that the flip also marks out Nitish Kumar as the most consummate opportunist in Indian politics, who has taken to treating public memory with contempt, and a leader that has no commitment to any higher pursuit than the need to cling on to power at any and every cost. Here's how Nitish Kumar explained his decision today. He came out in public. There were a lot of people wondering, how could a politician who till very recently was abusing Lalu Prasad, Tejaswi Yadav, Lalu's son that is, and the entire Yadav clan, could suddenly embrace the Yadavs? They couldn't understand this. Nitish has tried to offer an explanation, viewers. Some are saying that his words say very little and hide a lot more. Listen in.
तो 7 पार्टियां एक साथ आप समझ लीजिए कि विधानसभा में 1 से 64 और इसके अलावा एक इंडिपेंडेंट हम लोग के साथ 7 पार्टी और एक अकेला इंडिपेंडेंट, और हम लोग जो उधर थे उनसे हम लोगों ने रास्ता आज समाप्त कर लिया और हम लोग एक साथ मिल करके 7 पार्टियों में जो हम लोगों का महागठबंधन है, हम मिल करके आगे काम करेंगे, सेवा करेंगे.
He didn't get into the exact reasons. Maybe, viewers, he will open up in a few days. But by embracing Lalu and his party, Nitish is in grave danger of losing all credibility. 5 years ago, he dumped the RJD because he believed its leaders couldn't give him a convincing explanation over corruption charges. Those corruption charges, viewers, were so strong, so severe, that they turned into full-blown investigations and cases. At that time, Nitish said he had zero tolerance for this kind of hanky-panky and also for graft-tainted colleagues like Tejaswi Yadav. And he snapped ties in 2017. In the interim 5 years, viewers, those charges were proved in court. And 5 years later, after the charges were held up by court and Lalu was convicted and jailed, Nitish seems to have sacrificed his regard for propriety at the altar of power. He seems to have forgotten. In fact, the U-turn on propriety is even more galling when one considers that in just 2020, 2 years ago, Nitish was warning the public of Bihar not to vote for Lalu's RJD because the Yadav party would take Bihar back to the days of Jungle Raj. Not my words, Nitish Kumar's words. In fact, viewers, this would be the right time to listen in to Nitish's rants against the RJD that he is now tying up with to serve Bihar, as he says. Listen in to Nitish Kumar.
हमने अपने अंतरात्मा की आवाज पर पूरी चीज को देखते हुए हमने समझा कि अब मेरे जैसे व्यक्ति के लिए इस सरकार का चलाना संभव नहीं है. 15वां साल हम लोग काम कर रहे हैं. बिहार का क्या बुरा हाल था, अपराध की कितनी घटनाएं घटती थी, सामूहिक नरसंहार, लोग किस तरह से परेशान रहते थे, शाम होने के बाद कोई घर से निकलने की हिम्मत नहीं करता था. यह हाल था. अपहरण कितने लोगों का होता था. जरा बताइए, आजकल तो कुछ भी बोल देता है. पति पत्नी का 15 साल राज, अब बाल बच्चा को मौका मिल रहा है, जो भी बोल रहे हैं वो तो अंदर हैं. अब कोई रोकेगा जी सबको कभी अंदर जाने से? अंदर तो जाना ही है. इन लोगों का काम ही इस तरह का होता है.
अंदर तो जाना ही है. He is also convinced that Tejaswi, Rabdi Devi and Lalu Prasad Yadav belong in jail. Today, viewers, Nitish has forgotten all of this. He's also forgotten what the Yadavs have said about him. Viewers, any self-respecting individual would not play truant with his inner conscience to this extent. Now, here's a sample of what the Yadavs have said about Nitish Kumar in return. Let's listen in.
इनका मतलब 4 बार आत्मा जो है, अंतरात्मा सोया और जागा. कौन सा अंतरात्मा? इनको सिर्फ और सिर्फ कुर्सी प्रेम है। इनको बिहार के विकास की चिंता नहीं है।
न जाने भारत के राजनीतिक इतिहास में कितना बारी पलटी इन्होंने मारा है। इनको पलटू राम ही कहिए, राजनीति के ये पलटू राम है।
Viewers, the irony is that now Team Lalu is facilitating Paltu Ram's Kursi Prem. That is what they're facilitating. Nitish, rightly or wrongly, had earned the moniker Sushasan Babu. He also seems to have forgotten statistics. Now, let me talk to you a little bit about when Lalu was in power, when Nitish was in power. Kidnapping cases, viewers, 2004, Lalu in power, 2,566. Now 10,925. This is when Nitish was in power. Lalu in power, Nitish in power, murder case, hardly much of a difference. Slight improvement on that scale. Okay. Let's have a look at dacoity cases. Dramatically have come down. Lalu rule was synonymous with dacoity. I'm not saying it. You just heard Nitish Kumar himself say that. Viewers, there are other statistics. Let's talk a little bit about the GDP per capita of Bihar. So per capita income between 95 and 96, Bihar's was just 25.6% of India's. India was much higher. Bihar was only at 25.6%. Between 2015 and 2016, when Nitish was CM, the per capita income, Nizam Bhai, went up to 32.1%. Let's try to put out those statistics. Okay, the graphics are still being made, viewers. We will just have them for you. I apologize for that. We will have them in just 30 seconds or maybe a minute or maybe two. Human Development Index scores 99 to 2000, 0.07. In 2022, 2012, between that, when Nitish was CM, 0.15. Viewers, with the two of them in power, there is no hope really for Bihar. Between 2001 to 2005, when Rabri Devi was Chief Minister, Bihar GDP grew by 2.9%. Between 2005 and 15, Bihar GDP grew 10.5%. So at the end of the day, Nitish, when he was with the BJP, huge growth. Little wonder then that the BJP is today targeting Nitish for having no morals altogether. Listen in.
2020 के चुनाव में एनडीए गठबंधन के तहत हम सबों ने चुनाव लड़ा था और जो मेजॉरिटी और मैंडेट था वह एनडीए में भाजपा और जनता दल यूनाइटेड को जनता ने मैंडेट दिया था। हम 74 सीट जीतने में कामयाब हुए थे। उसके बावजूद भी माननीय प्रधानमंत्री जी ने और माननीय गृह मंत्री जी ने जो वादा किया था, हमने उस वादे का पूर्णतः पालन किया और माननीय नीतीश कुमार जी इस एनडीए गठबंधन के मुख्यमंत्री बने और जो कुछ भी आज हुआ है वह न केवल भाजपा बल्कि बिहार की सारी जनता के साथ धोखा है और बिहार की जनता इसको कतई बर्दाश्त नहीं करेगी।
वो जस्टिफाई करेंगे ये हमारे समझ में नहीं आती है बात। ये ऐसे पार्टी के साथ जाना जिसको कि इन्होंने कई बार कहा कि भ्रष्टाचार का पर्याय है, ये जिसको कई बार इन्होंने कहा कि ये साहब बिहार को डुबा दिया इस पार्टी ने, पुनः पहले उस पार्टी में गए, उसको छोड़ करके आए, हमने कहा फिर जा रहे हैं वापस।
माननीय नीतीश कुमार जी संपूर्ण जीवन कांग्रेस पार्टी के खिलाफ लड़ते रहे और आज फिर कांग्रेस के साथ जुड़ गए। यह कतई उचित नहीं है। बिहार की जनता ने जो मैंडेट दिया था 2020 में, उस मैंडेट के साथ धोखा हुआ है। यह एक नैतिक लड़ाई है। इस नैतिक लड़ाई को भारतीय जनता पार्टी बिहार की जनता के साथ मिलकर लड़ेगी।
On the other hand, the opposition is cock-a-hoop viewers, very excited. They're welcoming this development, saying that after Bihar, with Nitish in their midst, they will be buoyed in their pursuit of capturing Bharat and freeing it from the clutches of the Modi-led NDA. The question to be asked is, can Nitish, who has lost his credibility in 2022 after what I have just showed you, viewers, can that same Nitish be considered a serious contender for the Prime Minister's post against Prime Minister Modi in 2024? That's the fundamental question. Let's not waste any time. Let's ask that question. Let's go straight across to Madhav Anand, Manish Bariyar. Who is Manish Bariyar? He is, or was, till just yesterday, in Nitish Kumar's party's intellectual cell. He was the head of that. And let's pit him against Madhav Anand, spokesperson of the JDU. Manish Bariyar Sahab, I want to ask you, why did you put in your papers? Why have you quit the great JDU led by Sushasan Babu Nitish Kumar, who says that he turned his back on Jungle Raj perpetuated by Lalu Prasad Yadav? Why are you not walking with him today, matching him stride for stride as he goes back to Lalu to serve Bihar? Can you tell me?
Yeah, Rahul, first of all, thank you for having me here. Is my voice audible?
Okay, yes, go ahead.
Can you hear me?
I can, yes. There's a bit of an echo, but go ahead, yes.
Yeah, so my point was that, this entire saga of what has been happening even before the new government is coming up. I protested for two reasons. One, the way the number 2 of the party, Sri Ramchandra Babu, was insulted. He was one of the chief architects of the party and a very respectable leader within the party. I think he has been made scapegoat for shifting the loyalty of the party towards RJD. So that is the first thing, and I protested against that. And second, on a fundamental basis also, the party has always been taking a stand that we do not want to go with a party which is corrupt. And on several occasions, you also showed right now that, the party stand has been very clear that we are against corruption. And our chief minister is known as a Sushasan Babu. But unfortunately, I don't think that whatever the ideology of the party is, that is being now, in a way, it's going completely against it. So to protest against that, I resigned I resigned from the party because I don't see any future now with the kind of ideological bankruptcy which is there in the party. The only reason why the party exists is to be in power. And I don't think that is the role of a political party. The role of a political party is also to struggle for the right causes of the people of the country, and more specifically for Bihar. And more importantly, on most of the parameters, you showed Human Development Index, you see economy, you see so much of trauma inside young people of Bihar. And what are we doing? We are moving from one party to another. And that is not a very good example in front of the people of Bihar.
Let me ask.
As many of the other leaders have talked about, it is a murder of the mandate.
Manish Bariyar making a very important intervention here, viewers. He's telling you why he quit 24 hours back. He believes that Nitish Kumar has compromised with his scruples, with his principles, with the entire essence of Sushasan that he built around himself.
And Rahul, large number of people got attracted towards him because of his what he started. So I would admit that 2005 to 10 was very good.
Okay.
Right? But post 2010, I think the the government itself, either within with RJD at that time or even with BJP, I think there has been a severe lack of leadership and vision.
Okay, let me bring in Madhav Anand. Hold your thoughts, Mr. Bariyar.
Something which is
Manish ji, hold your thoughts. Let me bring in Madhav Anand.
Nothing is happening.
Okay, fair enough. Let me bring in the other side. Let me bring in the JDU spokesperson. Let's speak to him. Let's ask him. Sir, I'm quoting Nitish Kumar, October 2020. Madhavji, listen to me. He says, we have been working for the past 15 years.
Yeah,
what was the situation in Bihar back then? crime rates were so high, so many massacres, people were suffering, people were even scared to come out of their homes after evening. So many people got kidnapped. Such was the situation in Bihar when husband and wife were there. Today Tejasvi says anything. Now the children of Lalu have gotten the chance to speak, so they are just saying anything they feel like. Lalu is inside now. Do you think anyone will stop them? They will go inside jail because of their own doings. So you have Nitish Kumar already knows that Tejasvi is on his way to jail. But Madhav Anandji, Nitish Kumar today is allying with the Yadav clan. ये आप क्या मजाक कर रहे हैं? What kind of a joke are you playing on the public of Bihar? Do you want them, sir, to suffer once again, like you have said, described so evocatively? Do you want people to get kidnapped? Do you want people to be massacred? Is that what you want? For what? For the ego of a chief minister? For a little bit of power? Your legacy you're compromising? Mr. Anand, these are the questions that people are asking tonight. Respond.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much for giving me opportunity to put forward my party's view. I have listened to your initial remarks very carefully, and you have mentioned a lot of things like the credibility of Honorable Nitish Kumar ji. I can say he is the tallest leader in Bihar, and we don't want certificate from anyone. You must have seen today all opposition party unanimously supporting Honorable Nitish Kumar ji. This is his credibility. And he has been serving, he has been chief minister for the last 17 years. Okay, what kind of development he has done, we also know. What happened in past, we are not here today to discuss all these things. But yeah, of course, he has done a lot of job, lot of work in Bihar, and the Bihar is witnessing the development now.
Madhavji, I'm only asking you, did Nitish say these words?
Yeah,
no,
yeah,
Madhavji, I'm only asking you, did he say all of this about the Yadav Khandan? Did he say what he said about Lalu ji? Did he say or did he not? ये आप मुझे बता दीजिए. We'll not get into anything else. And why did he say it if he didn't mean it? Is he a congenital liar? Or is he forgetful? Or there is some other motivation? आप मुझे ये बता दीजिए बस. Nothing more I want.
I think, thank you so much. Thank you so much. I think we should be very much particular while using any words about any chief minister or any person. Anyway, so let me explain you. It's a politics. You know, when हम लोग जब जाएंगे, अगर पास्ट में अगर आप देखोगे तो बीजेपी के भी कई नेताओं ने इस तरह के बयान दिए. Let me speak in Hindi now. ओके, तो जब पास्ट में जाएंगे तो बहुत सारे ऐसे स्टेटमेंट निकलेंगे बीजेपी की तरफ से, तो उस पर आप जाने की बहस की जरूरत नहीं है. मैं यहां बैठा हूं कि जस्ट टू पुट फॉरवर्ड बाय पार्टीज व्यू कि क्यों अलायंस आखिर टूटा. व्हाट इज द रीजन बिहाइंड दिस? व्हाट आर द फैक्टर्स बिहाइंड दिस? वी शुड नो ऑल दिस फैक्टर. और अलायंस बनता है और बिगड़ता है सिर्फ एक कारणों से नहीं बनता है. बहुत सारे ऐसे फैक्टर होते हैं जिसके कारण अलायंस बनता भी है और बिगड़ता भी है. हम लोगों की पार्टी की तोड़ने की कोशिश हुई. हम लोग कई ऐसे मुद्दे थे जहां हम लोगों को बीजेपी से सपोर्ट नहीं मिल रहा था. वी वर रिक्वेस्टेड सेवरल टाइम्स टू ऑनरेबल प्राइम मिनिस्टर कि बिहार को स्पेशल राज्य का दर्जा मिले. अगर विशेष राज्य का दर्जा नहीं मिले तो विशेष आर्थिक पैकेज मिले. जो बिहार बीजेपी की यूनिट है उन लोगों ने भी समर्थन किया, लेकिन उसके बावजूद भी नहीं मिला. हम लोगों ने कास्ट सेंसस की बात की, जो हम लोगों ने जो हार्मोनी बना हुआ है, सामाजिक सौहार्द बना हुआ है हर जगह कंट्री में, उसको बिगाड़ने की कोशिश हुई. हमारे विधायकों को तोड़ने की कोशिश हुई. गठबंधन धर्म का पालन नहीं किया गया. आप ही मुझे बता दीजिए, अगर गठबंधन में है और गठबंधन धर्म का पालन कोई ना करे तो क्या ये गठबंधन धर्म कहलाएगा? नहीं कहलाएगा.
Just hold your thoughts. I'm asking you, if you feel that the BJP was about to break your party, etc., you could have withdrawn support, sat in opposition, or you could have moved to call for new elections. Everyone would have started from a clean slate. Why are you giving those people, excuse me, why are you giving those people who, in your own words, have kidnapped, looted, murdered the people of Bihar another chance to do exactly the same? That's the question. What was wrong? Go back to the people. What's the problem? Get a fresh mandate.
Again.
दूध का दूध, पानी का पानी.
we have a mandate. नहीं हम लोग के पास
No, you're the third largest party, sir. Am I wrong? Am I wrong? You're the third largest party.
No, he's the tallest leader.
Sir, he might be the tallest, but is he the third largest party?
No matter which party.
Is he the third largest party or not? Yes or no? If he was such a tall leader, why wasn't he the largest party? Why didn't he come back and form the government on his own?
We are the third largest party, but no matter which party or how many seats.
Now let me show you, viewers, one statistic. Between the last assembly election and this assembly election, in fact, the JDU has shrunk. The tallest leader has actually shrunk.
Because of conspiracy.
Whose conspiracy? Whose conspiracy?
By the party.
Then why did you contest the elections with them?
We have.
तो बीजेपी के साथ आपने क्यों contest किया election? इतने ही आपके पीछे पड़े हुए थे. Why did you contest the election with them?
Public domain.
Then why did you continue with them? Why did you contest with them?
Public domain.
But why did you then contest with them?
No, we have contested.
But why?
Again, I'm telling you, we have contested. They were conspiracy. That's why.
Okay, let me open this up further, viewers.
We have already disclosed the Chirag model.
Okay.
We have already disclosed the RCP model.
Right.
We have already disclosed the RCP model.
Okay. Mr. Barrier wants to come in. Nikhil Anand, spokesperson of the BJP, wants to come in. Let's first get all the political voices out. Then I'll bring in Smita Prakash, Subhrashtra, and Tehseen Poonawala. Let's first get... Yes,
point.
Mr. Barrier, yes, quickly.
So what I was trying to say, that the current president of JDU and also the head of the parliamentary board, both of them, they left the party and they rejoined it, right? So are you trying to say that they were actually acting against the party or they were conspiring against it? I think the problem is that the leader of the party is very insecure, and any leader who tries to or who has some say or starts becoming popular, the insecurity comes in, and that is why you see these kind of absurd actions which you see.
Please respond. Mr. Barrier is asking you a question. Madhavji, can you please respond?
So, okay, this coach.
He's
not. See, I don't know why this kind of things are coming. No. What there is insecurity ki kyun baat hogi? He is the tallest leader. He has been serving the people of Bihar for the last 17 years. We don't want certificate from anyone.
Siddharth Paria is on it. He's going to give you the figures of how the vote share of the JDU has come down, how the seat share of the JDU has come down. Viewers, if people believe that you're the tallest leader, they will elect you in a manner that you can reinforce your claim on that particular position, the chief minister, in toto. Now, 1 minute. Let's bring in Nikhil Anand, spokesperson of the Bihar BJP. Mr. Nikhil Anand, you were working to break Madhav Anandji's party, the JDU. You were stabbing them in their back. You were going to do what you did to Uddhav. Therefore, they have left you. How do you respond to this charge?
It's a matter of surprise that they are raising such issue. I say that they have created a kind of hypothesis just to justify their falsehood and lies. You see, they first said that our national president has said that we want to finish the regional parties. I was the part of that executive committee meet. He simply said that BJP is the only party which is working for the development of this country, and we are the party which has core ideological value as well as organizational system. But all those parties who have a family base, all those family-based political parties, they won't survive because of lack of ideology. They create a shield of ideology and false ideology, but pursue their family agenda. It is a simple thing. And they are quoting the inner meeting of quotes from the inner meeting and creating a kind of fear psychosis among their party cadres and leaders. It is the BJP which has co-opted, pursued and promoted Nitish Kumarji.
Okay, let me say.
1994.
Let me tell you, 2005 state elections, and those figures are on your screens. Viewers, BJP vote share was 11%, JDU vote share was 14.6%. 2010 state elections, JDU vote share goes up to 22.6, BJP vote share also goes up to 16.5. 2015 state elections, JDU fought with the MGB, Mahagathbandhan of Lalu. BJP 25%, JDU 17.3%, so it comes down seat sharing. 2020 state election, JDU back with BJP, JDU 15.7%. And BJP at 19.8%. BJP actually has more vote share than JDU at this moment. It is a senior partner in this particular alliance, but decided to let Nitish have the chief minister's post. This is exactly true, viewers, because even during Vajpayee's time, it was the BJP that allowed the Samta, even when the Samta had only 22 MLAs and MPs, to take a lead and have their chief minister. This is the situation, viewers.
I wanted to say the same thing, that it is the BJP which has co-opted, purchased and promoted Nitish Kumar ji to this level, and even in 2020 elections.
So this is the way you pay us back. This is the way. Vajpayee ji respected you. Modi ji has respected you. Vajpayee ji allowed you to flower.
We have promised.
Modi gave you the chief ministership despite the fact that you had fewer seats and a lesser vote share. How can you say, Mr. Madhav Anand, that the BJP was trying to bury the dagger in your back?
Corruption-free and crime-free good governance has been derailed.
See, let me respond. Let me respond, Nikhil Anand ji. Let me respond, Nikhil Anand ji. Allow me to respond.
Let him respond. Let him respond, Nikhil ji. Let him respond. Let Madhav Anand respond.
Let me respond.
Viewers, I'm taking everyone's first names. I usually always call everybody by their surnames only because there are 4 Anands on this show. And I don't want to have another McAdams moment. So I'm sticking to calling everyone by their first names. Okay? So here you go. Madhav ji, why don't you respond straight away to Nikhil ji?
Yeah, please. Yeah, so I'm responding. आपने कहा कि आदरणीय प्रधानमंत्री जी ने उनको मुख्यमंत्री बनाया, बिहार की जनता ने उनको मुख्यमंत्री बनाया, बिहार की जनता चाहती थी कि वो मुख्यमंत्री बने रहें, बिहार की जनता चाहती है कि अभी मुख्यमंत्री बने रहें, कोई किसी प्रधानमंत्री जी ने मुख्यमंत्री उनको नहीं बना दिया। और जब हम लोग नहीं, no, I am not.
Okay, let's not speak over each other, please. Nikhil ji,
no,
please don't speak over Madhav ji and vice versa. Please, let's keep this civil. I'll have to lower your faders. I'm counting till 3.
Tell me one thing.
2,
tell me one thing.
3. Lower faders. Yes. Madhav Anand, respond quickly.
Yeah, tell me. It's a very truth. देखिए, आपको ही पता है कि कोई भी जनता ही मुख्यमंत्री बनाती है। अगर प्राइम मिनिस्टर क्या मुख्यमंत्री उनको बना देंगे, उतनी सीटें आई। और गठबंधन में ये फैसला हुआ, यूनानिमसली फैसला हुआ कि अंडर द लीडरशिप ऑफ नीतीश कुमार ओनली। तो यानी बिहार की जनता चाहती थी, आज भी अगर हम लोगों ने गठबंधन तोड़ा है और नए गठबंधन बने हैं, तो सब
then why would they not respect coalition dharma now? Let's open this up. Before I go to the RJD spokesperson, let's open this up. I want to bring in Smita Prakash, editor of ANI. I want to bring in Subhrashtra. I want to bring in Mr. Poonawala. Let's go to them. Now, Smita Prakash, do you believe, and this is a straightforward question, no spin, nothing. Do you believe that Nitish Kumar is in danger of losing his credibility? Number 1. Number 2, if he is, can he even be a serious contender in 2024? Can he be the promised booster that the opposition thinks he might actually be for their endeavors? Straight question.
Look, it depends on what you mean by credibility, because he's a political, he's very shrewd politically. He's like a calculator when it comes to Bihari politics, you know, because he has come up with equation after equation, whether it is caste or whether it is alliance, and he has survived to be chief minister for the 8th time since 2005, and this despite being the smaller coalition partner. He was the smaller coalition partner with Lalu, and now he's with Lalu Lalu's son. So, if you saw the press conference a few hours ago, which was held, the body language was quite clear that it is going to be Tejasvi who will be calling the shots, that he is the kingmaker out here, just like his father was the kingmaker earlier. Now, Tejasvi is going to be the kingmaker, and Nitish is a pale shadow of the Sushasan Babu that he was. He knows he has played almost all his cards as far as Bihar is concerned. He has no ideas for Bihar. So what he's going to do, this is what people are saying in Bihar, is that he will hand over the reins after a couple of months or a year to Tejasvi and then move over to the national scene. The national scene has already got crowded as far as the opposition is concerned. Now, will he be able to get together all the socialist parties and, project himself as the acceptable leader to take on Modi in 2024? That is probably the rosy dream that the Yadav clan has fed Nitish Kumar. Okay. And Nitish Kumar has probably bought it. Mind you, somebody who has been chief minister for so many times will tend to believe these megalomaniacal dreams which are sold to him, that he is somebody, a manna from heaven for the opposition.
Okay, very important points. Now I want to bring in चेतन आनंद जी, एमएलए ऑफ द आरजेडी. चेतन आनंद जी, आपको मैं कुछ
I can hear you.
हाँ, तो मैं आपको I'm going to read out certain things. Lalu Prasad Yadav ji in August 2017 said Nitish biggest palturam in history of Indian politics. Lalu ji said Nitish shed skin like a snake every 2 years. Nitish is a murderer, वो खूनी है, who has teeth in his stomach. Nitish ji's conscience awakened and died 4 times, Tejasvi Yadav said in July 2017. You have called him Palturam, and you have said that he is least bothered about development in Bihar. तो आप Palturam के पीछे फिर क्यों चढ़ गए हैं, sir? Why are you with Palturam?
No. What I want to say here is, let's not dwell upon the past. What has happened in the past, and we are not going there, first of all. Secondly,
so were you lying in the past? No, 1 second. Were you lying in the past, sir?
No, let me.
When you called him a Palturam, were you misleading the public? Simple question.
No, let me speak first. What I'm trying. If you keep on.
Okay. Go ahead. Go ahead. Fair point.
The thing out here is. Today, Bihar, what it wants is a youth power. We need youth power. We need youth faces. And now, Nitish ji, along with Tejasvi ji, we are providing Bihar a new opportunity. Let's see the brighter side of it. And I know this for a fact that in this government, the youth will have more of a say. And that's what we are aiming for.
Okay, but Chetan ji, if he is a Palturam with no conviction, then why isn't Tejasvi Yadav, and if he is old and he is no longer representing the youth, then why isn't Tejasvi the chief minister?
No, that's if he is with Tejasvi, right? Tejasvi ji is leading, is along with Nitish Kumar. That's what it is.
No, but he'll be deputy chief minister.
What?
If people of Bihar want the youth, why isn't Tejasvi the chief minister?
I'm just pointing out one thing. This is obviously a coalition government. It's about Gathbandhan, right? When we're talking about Gathbandhan, when a new face is coming with, so it is basically a mix of it's a mix of both experience and youth.
No, that's what fine. But you are saying that the people of Bihar want change. They want a youth leader. So why isn't Tejasvi becoming chief minister? Why is he deputy chief minister?
Well, No, come on. This is not the way you greet a CM of any place. Let's not call him that.
But you called him. I'm only quoting you. You're calling him Palturam. Is it not a fact that you called him Palturam?
No, I'm not.
No, I'm saying as in you, as in your party. Your party bosses have called him Palturam. I can play out the soundbite. Let's play it out. Maybe you have not heard. Let's play it out. Palturam, let's play it out. Yes, let's play it out. The bites of the RJD. Let's play it. Yes, come.
इनका मतलब 4 बार आत्मा जो है अंतरात्मा सोया और जागा. कौन सा अंतरात्मा? इनको सिर्फ और सिर्फ कुर्सी प्रेम है, इनको बिहार के विकास की चिंता नहीं है।
न जाने भारत के राजनीतिक इतिहास में कितना बारी पलटी इन्होंने मारा है। इनको पलटू राम ही कहिए, राजनीति के ये पलटू राम है।
राजनीति के पलटू राम है, said Lalu Yadav. You heard it now, Mr. Chetan Anand. You have also heard Tejaswi ji saying kursi prem hai unka bas. He only is interested in the kursi. Why are you giving him the kursi? And that too also to Mr. Paltu Ram.
No, right now I would like to point out few things. Whatever today BJP is saying, and whatever they weren't saying the same thing back then, right? They were happy and they were really cheerful about the fact that they had formed the government. But right now, the need of the hour for Biharis and for Bihari people was this current, the new.
But Chetan ji, if he's only interested in self-preservation and kursi, where will he have the time to think about the people and their welfare? अगर वो सिर्फ अपनी कुर्सी की चिंता करेंगे तो लोगों की भविष्य की चिंता वो तो कभी नहीं कर पाएंगे ना। सवाल तो ये है।
तो अगर भविष्य की चिंता थी तभी तो आज नीतीश कुमार जी ने भविष्य के साथ हाथ जोड़कर मतलब हाथ मिलाकर
सर उन्होंने तो आपकी पार्टी को जंगल राज वाली पार्टी बुलाया, तो आप तो पीछे ले जा रहे हैं।
आज नीतीश जी ने और तेजस्वी जी ने जिस तरीके से
लेट मी ब्रिंग इन सुभाष। Look, this is going to be tough, viewers. I'm sorry, this is going to be tough to hear, because now you are seeing parties who have today done an absolute U-turn. Subhrashtra, what do you make of this? Where does this go from here? Whose interests are being served? Are the people of Bihar, their interests being served?
भविष्य की जब चिंता थी तभी तो दोनों साथ आए हैं आज पार्टी।
हाँ, वो भी दिख रहा है। किसकी भविष्य? अपनी भविष्य की, लोगों की भविष्य की चिंता, या बिहार की भविष्य की चिंता? बिकॉज बिहार की भविष्य की चिंता तो आप लोगों ने एक दूसरे के बारे में बोल के कह दिया दुनिया को कि आप एक दूसरे के लिए नहीं आप
से नहीं हो जाता है ना, ये हम लोग जानते हैं अभी what people want. And today if you were in Bihar, if you would have seen, I think people are sharing, people are very happy with this new formed alliance.
People are very happy, then why didn't you just go straight and contest elections? We would have known. You would have not required all this. You would have gone, tested your mettle and seen. This is opportunism, some would say. Subhrashtra, please respond.
The same questions back then.
Biharis are very happy. All Biharis are happy today. They're delighted that Paltu Ram, that RJD proclaimed Paltu Ram and JDU proclaimed Jungle Raj is back. Paltu Ram and Jungle Raj.
But today these questions will come because you are.
चेतन जी, बिहार के जनता के भी तो कुछ कह लेवे दें। अपने आपस में अपने नेतवन सब बतियाएं तो कैसे चलत काम? देखिए राहुल जी, there are a couple of things which I want to bring to the table at the forefront. Firstly, this is not a question of it is not a question of Bihar people's future at all. Unfortunately, Bihar politics today is reduced to who gets the throne. And I'm very politically using these terminologies because on social media and elsewhere, Nitish Kumar has been called Singhasan Babu for a very long time. And it is shameless, shameless. And we should all actually feel ashamed as Biharis that after all these years, this is the 8th time that Nitish ji was Chief Minister, we are actually demanding and claiming special status for a state. A state, and I'm not going to get into data, as Biharis, we are very proud of the fact that we are everywhere in bureaucracy, in media, in in the literature circles, in the engineering circle, in the medical circle. I'm not going to get into those statistics. Very conveniently, Chetan ji comes on screen and says that पुरानी बातों को भूल जाएं. अरे भाई, पुरानी बातों को कैसे भूल जाएं? आपके जंगल राज की दहशत इतनी है कि हमारे गांव से लोग वोट करने नहीं जा पाए थे. राजद के गुंडे घर पे पहुंचे हुए थे उनके कि घर निकलोगे तो धीरा-धीरा मारेंगे. ये भाषा थी उनकी. इसलिए don't tell us Biharis not to go back in the past. We are living, we have lived a life of trauma. People like us have migrated out forever. Hold on, Chetan. Listen to people. Listen to the people's voice. There is nothing for people here. There is no agenda with which, Lalu Prasad Yadav's son are handing over. There's no agenda that they've handed over to the Nitish government to say, this is my 15-point agenda which I want to bring to the table. And if I was Tejasvi Yadav, with the kind of mandate that I got, first largest party in Bihar, I would have asked Nitish to resign and make me the chief minister, because if you're talking about youth power, then that should have been your negotiation. But do you know why you are doing that? Because you still want to ride on a political jugglery. You still want to play a drama in Bihar. And this has nothing to do with Bihari aspirations at all. Let me also give a word or two to the JDU spokesperson who was here. Who is, I mean, last debate also we were there. Madhavji, you understand and I understand very clearly, and we should let there be no two doubts about it. If Nitish Kumar is so sanctimonious about his position within the larger rubric of opposition politics, and if he feels he is the tallest leader, why the hell did he come forward with the BJP and formed an alliance and got into a government, claimed the position of power? He knew very well, right, that it's Gathbandhan. It's a question of alliance. He will have to make compromises. And he is the, he is the third party. When if you look at the numbers, he is the third largest party. So either he has to listen to the RJD or he has to listen to the BJP. This attitude that he is the tallest leader is not going to serve any, any purpose. As a person from Bihar, as a woman from Bihar, who has literally lived the Jungle Raj, let me tell you, I have utmost respect for Nitish Kumar's feminist politics in more ways than one. But having said that, today Bihar needs a new leaf. The last time Bihar had a policy-centric leader was Karpuri Thakur. And whether it is Lalu or it is Nitish ji, both of them have carried forward the legacy of Karpuri Thakur till now. Socialism is dead in Bihar. It should be dead in Bihar. And I'm sure Chetan, as a youngster who represents young aspirations himself, despite his dynastic, credentials, he will accept. So many youngsters in Bihar work out of Patna. They have created millions and billions of, small industries. This is not the way forward. I mean, socialism is not the way forward anymore. The young minds, the young guns of Bihar need to come together and start thinking of getting industry in Bihar.
Okay, those are larger prescriptions. We are just at the basic level
Bihar
here.
has always been known for its differences, Rahul.
Yeah, I'm just going straight across to Tehseen Poonawalla. Now, Mr. Poonawalla, the reaction between carbon and oxygen to form carbon dioxide is classified as a combustion reaction, an exothermic reaction, a combination reaction.
CO2.
When carbon combines with oxygen to form carbon dioxide, carbon is burnt. Now I want to ask you this. When Paltu Raj and Jungle Raj combine, you tell me, these two elements, Paltu Raj and Jungle Raj, will it be a combustion reaction in which either Paltu Raj will burn or Jungle Raj will burn? Which one will burn, sir? I'm asking you. Which one?
Well, the only people who will burn metaphorically out of anger and frustration is the Bharatiya Janata Party. Let me answer that why. ऐसा कोई सगा नहीं जिसको भाजपा नहीं ठगा नहीं. And why do I say Bhajpa is a gang of thugs? I say they're a gang of thugs because they wanted to implement the Maharashtra model of paltoing the government straight on.
No. Let's not interrupt Tehseen Poonawalla. Let him speak. You'll get to respond, Mr. Nikhil Anand. Please. 30 seconds. Please.
That's typical of the BJP. When you attack them, they start talking, so people can't hear the truth. So, sir, let me just say, ऐसा कोई सगा नहीं जिसको भाजपा ने ठगा नहीं. The reason I say that is, and I say that with responsibility on TV, is they wanted to implement the Maharashtra model in Bihar, where they wanted to, like the way Shiv Sena was split, they wanted to split the Nitish Kumar's party. And the BJP talking about morality is almost like the devil going and preaching the scriptures. And I'll tell you why. With LJP, with Chirag Paswan, they encourage Chirag Paswan to put up candidates against Nitish Kumar so that Nitish Kumar would get a deliberate vote share and then show magnanimity by making him the chief minister. Who is the BJP trying to fool? The Honorable Prime Minister was on Times Now saying, how much money should I give BJP, should I give Bihar? 40,000 crores, 50,000 crores, 70,000 crores, like he was getting it from Nagpur. Forget 70,000 crores. He gave Bihar as much as Aryabhatta's invention. Zero. Did nothing for Bihar. In fact, went to try to break the Nitish Kumar's party. Therefore, Nitish Kumar has realized sabse badi bhool, Kamal ka fool, and has come back on a path of development. And now Bihar will see rapid progress, and the BJP can continue to metaphorically burn like you put it forward.
But sir, you have not answered my question. Who called Who called? It's a very simple question. Who called Nitish Paltu Ram?
बीजेपी करे तो चमत्कार, कोई और करे तो गुनेगार.
Doesn't matter. I'm only asking you, who called? See, you want to be the next challenger, Tehseen ji, you want to be the next challenger. You want the opposition to lead the charge against Modi. Certainly then, if you want to become part, if you accuse the BJP of doing exactly this thing, why are you wanting to repeat history? If the BJP is gone and undermined its credentials, why do you want to follow suit? Give another model?
Because there is recording which will come out in the media of paying 6 to 8 crores per MLA.
Nikhil Anand respond. Nikhil Anand respond to Tehseen Poonawala. Nikhil Anand respond to Tehseen Poonawala. Face off there.
You see, Rahul, it's just a hypothesis, just to justify their sheer over-ambition. And the way Bihar government was committed towards providing corruption-free, crime-free, sustainable development, the process has been derailed. With this initiative of Nitish Kumar, the people of Bihar is feeling cheated because 2020 election provided the mandate.
People of Kashmir also felt cheated when you all formed a government in Kashmir and you cheated the mandate. People of Bihar also felt cheated in 2015. You are used to cheating. The people of India felt cheated. You've not given people jobs. Now I'll tell you, I'm making a prediction. Rahul, I'm making a prediction. Now we'll engage the ED on Nitish Kumar. That is the next step. Next ED will come in. You tell the people of India ED won't come in 10 days. In 10 days ED will come in on Nitish Kumar. You'll dig out some case.
Okay, one second.
They want to find a shelter ground in Nitish Kumar politics.
Okay, 1 second. Viewers, look, you can dice it whichever way you want. What we are hearing tonight are two political parties that have abused each other till no end, who are now together and who are telling us that they are together because, you see, the BJP has also done this. Now, viewers, if these two parties are really interested in turning a new leaf, why are they copying the alleged compromised politics of a party both hate? Why were they at different levels aligned with each other when they both believe that each one of them is compromised and cannot uphold propriety? Viewers, it is very simple. It is all opportunistic. On this show, all of us, this is our show, yours, mine. I'm not going to withhold the truth from you. This has become a race to the bottom, viewers. Why? Because certain people don't want to give up power. Who is suffering? It's us. We are suffering. And I want to now also ask some questions of NDA Minister R.K. Singh. Mr. Singh joins this broadcast. Mr. Singh, BJP has lost another ally. The SAD left your alliance. The TDP has left the NDA before 2019. You only have a faction of the Shiv Sena. Now it's the JDU, Nitish Kumar. They say that you backstab. Why is this happening?
Look at each question. We focus on one question at a time. Now, I can tell you what's happened in Bihar. In Bihar, I think this is probably the most classic case of Aya Ram, Gaya Ram one has ever seen. And it is not, I don't know of any person who has jumped ship and jumped back on so many times. Now, Mr. Nitish Kumar he began with RJD, he was a part of RJD. Then he broke away, he left RJD, he ditched RJD, and he formed his own party. Then he allied with us. Thereafter, he went back to the RJD. Thereafter, again, he ditched RJD, he came back to us. Now he's again gone, and again he went back, and again he came to us, and now again he's
Mr. R.K. Singh, I'm just interrupting you. I'm asking you a simple question. Why weren't you able to convince him to remain in the fold?
It's not a question of convincing. You can't convince people. basically when people are with each other, both sides need to be with each other. But if one side is only looking at at being in power by hook or by crook, and only is looking after his own future rather than that of the state, then it's a separate case altogether. And that is the case here. Now, I don't know what's the reason for this latest flip-flop amongst his many flip-flops. I suggest that you go and ask him. Why you ask me? You go and ask him, why have you flip-flopped so many times? And ask him the reason. I would also like to hear him.
Fair enough, Mr. R.K. Singh. I'll leave it at that. But viewers, let me tell you, it's the public interest at the end of the day that will suffer in Bihar too. We will of course be asking questions on your behalf, just like we've asked questions on another big story. And that's why I was transitioning, viewers, putting the public interest forward. Times Now fought your fight against VIP entitlement, just like it is fighting your fight against VIP opportunism in Bihar. We will continue to ask those questions. But here for a moment, viewers, we look back with satisfaction because Shrikant Tyagi, the goon, has been arrested.
Shrikant Tyagi thought his political connections could buy him immunity from the law. But when Times Now exposed his high-handedness, his arrogance crumbled. Your voice, your resolve, powered a memorable victory.
Rousing welcome by the resident.
Tyagi is today in custody. His arrest is a tribute to what Times Now and you, that is us, can do together. Times Now. Action begins here.
The fact of the matter is, whether it is imported inflation, whether it is tinkering of GST for a longer period, the fact is that the burden is on the common man. And the common man, frankly, doesn't really care about what's happening in the United States or the UK or Russia or Ukraine. They're worried about their day-to-day living and per capita incomes where they are in India. The pressure is as much, magnified on common people in this country than they are abroad. And of course, you have social security systems which exist abroad, which don't exist in India. So I come back to asking you the same question. Is the government really being rather hard-hearted when it looks at these issues? After all, running a country of the kind that India is, with poor middle classes, lower middle classes forming the bulk of the population, do you think the government is doing enough to cushion the impact on these classes of people?
So let me say that as a policy maker, one has to make various trade-offs. So first of all, let me be clear that the government is fully cognizant of the spike in inflation. Otherwise, you wouldn't have seen the measures we have taken, including the Reserve Bank tightening monetary policy. So clearly, the tightening of monetary policy is one response to bringing down inflation. But do remember that this is a trade-off, because if you do tighten monetary policy too fast, too quickly, yes, it will bring down inflation, but then it will slow down growth, it will slow down incomes, and so on and so forth. So there is a balancing act that has to be done. Ultimately, what do we want to do? We want to increase as far as possible the trajectory of welfare and real incomes. And in that context, we have to trade off between growth and inflation. So the trade-off that we are making right now is, rather than tighten so harsh that growth slows down, we are tightening somewhat, but not so much that growth slows down too much. So keeping GDP growth going, create jobs, which is an important question, which I hope we will come to later on. These are issues that are also foremost in our mind. So given this balance we have done, I think the Reserve Bank's response is the correct one for this point in time.
Well, Sanjeev Sanyal, you know, governments are not necessarily only policy makers. They are also political entities, and you understand politics as much as anybody else. I want to ask you a simple, straightforward question that is...
I am a policy... Wait, no. I cannot answer any questions on politics. I am a policy maker. So if there are political questions, I'm afraid I will simply not be in a position to answer them.
Well, you know, that disclaimer taken on board, but I'm still asking you the question that when policy makers within the government do not have enough measures that solve problems of the common people of India.
All the top stories on the show tonight, viewers.
Row over Delhi excise policy intensifies. Ex-Delhi LG Anil Baijal says the Deputy Chief Minister Manish Sisodia is trying to find an alibi for his colleagues' act of omission and commission. The Aam Aadmi Party has filed an application in the Supreme Court opposing the PIL against political parties promising to distribute freebies during election campaigns. TMC Birbhum District President Anubrata Mandal summoned by CBI again in connection with a cattle smuggling case. Congress star campaigner Mirchi Babao has been arrested on rape charges. He was arrested in a joint action of Bhopal Police and Gwalior Crime Branch. TMC MLA Idris Ali's house in West Bengal's Murshidabad district was vandalized by his party workers who accused him of taking money for allotting posts in its local organization.
gentlemen, they say a week is a long time in politics, and that was proven yet again. In the last 24 hours, Bihar has seen so many political ups and downs that it's been hard to keep up. As I bring you this edition of the Newshour, Bihar is waiting for a new government to take oath. Chief Minister Nitish Kumar resigned this afternoon and officially announced his separation from the NDA alliance. Yes, once again. Ties broken with the BJP to go back to his earlier former alliance partner, the RJD, and of course the Congress in tow. For a second time in 8 years, Mr. Sushasan Babu, he's also been called Paltu Ram of Bihar, dumped the Saffron Party. A deal sealed at Rabri Devi's residence this evening, and the third largest party in the state still gets to keep the Chief Minister's chair. Listen in to what foes turned friends, friends turned foes, and then foes turned friends had to say. Listen.
तो 7 पार्टी एक साथ आप समझ लीजिए कि विधानसभा में 164 और इसके अलावा एक इंडिपेंडेंट हम लोगों के साथ 7 पार्टी और एक अकेला इंडिपेंडेंट, और हम लोग जो उधर थे उनसे हम लोगों ने रास्ता आज समाप्त कर दिया। हम लोग एक साथ मिल करके 7 पार्टियों में जो हम लोगों का महागठबंधन है, हम मिल करके आगे काम करेंगे, सेवा करेंगे।
One of the reasons why Nitish Kumar decided to part ways with the BJP is his own personal ambitions, say people who are in the know. He's the most competent politician to lead the country, said his party today. Many within the opposition, including Tejasvi Yadav, echoed that sentiment of Nitish's competence, projecting him as the 2024 PM contender. If there's consensus on Nitish within the opposition, then why not? They said. Listen in.
आज की तारीख में एनडीए में प्रधानमंत्री हैं नरेंद्र मोदी जी, लेकिन व्यक्तित्व के रूप में या एक पर्सनालिटी जो देश भर के स्तर पे देखा जा रहा है, उसके आधार पे यदि आकलन किया जाए तो नीतीश कुमार जी प्रधानमंत्री बनने के हर तरह से योग्य हैं। अब उस व्यक्ति के बारे में यह कहना ठीक है कि राजनीतिक परिस्थिति के हिसाब से चीजें होती हैं, आज हम कोई दावेदारी नहीं कर रहे हैं, लेकिन नीतीश कुमार जी प्रधानमंत्री बनने की हर तरह की योग्यता रखते हैं।
नहीं, मैं मानता हूं कि वो काबिल आदमी है, तो यदि सारे अपोजिशन के सहमति से वो बनते हैं तो सबसे काबिल आदमी है वो। तो लोग मांग कर रहे हैं, कोई गलत नहीं कर रहे हैं।
ये अच्छी शुरुआत है। आज के दिन जब अंग्रेजों के खिलाफ नारा दिया था भारत छोड़ो, अगर बिहार से ये नारा आया कि भारतीय जनता पार्टी भगाओ, मुझे लगता है कि और प्रदेशों में भी इसी तरीके से बहुत जल्दी भारतीय जनता पार्टी के खिलाफ पॉलिटिकल पार्टीज भी खड़ी होंगी और जनता भी खड़ी होगी। बहुत एक्सपीरियंस नेता हैं, उनके बारे में क्या कहना, वो बिहार और बिहार के गणित को बेहतर समझते हैं। ये उनके अपने फैसले हैं, गठबंधन में क्या तय होता है, क्योंकि गठबंधन जब बनता है तो बहुत सी चीजों पर मिलजुल करके फैसला लेते हैं।
Can Nitish be the fulcrum of the anti-Modi bloc that he hopes to be? Well, electorally, if you see his track record in the general elections in 2014 and then the assembly polls in 2016 and 2020, JDU's vote percentage has been oscillating between 15 to 17%. And the BJP was quick to remind Nitish Kumar that he owes his position to the BJP, especially to Prime Minister Modi. An opportunist doing what he knows best is how the BJP responded as power slipped out of their hands in the state of Bihar. Listen in.
नीतीश कुमार से हमें एक सवाल पूछना है। 20 का चुनाव नरेंद्र मोदी की अगुवाई में जीते थे कि नहीं जीते थे? किसके कंधों पर जीत हुई थी? जब मोदी जी ने बिहार में 5 चरण में सघन प्रचार किया तो जीत हुई। तो आप बार बार क्यों इंसल्ट करते हैं बिहार की जनता के मैंडेट को? यह सवाल है। तो जीतेंगे नरेंद्र मोदी के नाम पर लोकसभा विधानसभा, और आज आप तोड़ देंगे, तो ये बहुत ही दुर्भाग्यपूर्ण है। और मुझे एक सवाल और पूछना है, अगर उनको बीजेपी परेशान कर रही थी तो 2 साल रुके क्यों हुए थे भाई?
Now, Nitish Kumar has been called a Paltu Ram and a snake in the past. Guess by whom? The same leaders he is in alliance with. Lalu Prasad and Tejasvi Yadav have often spoken of Bihar suffering under Nitish Kumar. Now remember, ladies and gentlemen, in 2015, Nitish led Mahagathbandhan with RJD and the Congress won the state election, but he quit 2 years later citing graft allegations against Lalu and his family. All those allegations, all those barbs, conveniently forgotten for political convenience yet again. But let me refresh their memory and yours. Listen in.
इनका मतलब 4 बार आत्मा जो है, अंतरात्मा सोया और जागा। कौन सा अंतरात्मा? इनको सिर्फ और सिर्फ कुर्सी प्रेम है। इनको बिहार के विकास की चिंता नहीं है।
न जाने भारत के राजनीतिक इतिहास में कितना बारी पलटी इन्होंने मारा है। इनको पलटू राम ही कहिए, राजनीति के ये पलटू राम है।
Embracing Lalu is not just embarrassing for Nitish, put also a question mark on his credibility. In 2020, Nitish Kumar was warning the public of Bihar not to vote for the RJD because the Yadav party would take Bihar back to the days of Jungle Raj. Nitish to what Nitish Kumar ranted against the RJD with whom he is tying up today. Listen in.
अपने अंतरात्मा की आवाज पर पूरी चीज को देखते हुए हमने समझा कि अब मेरे जैसे व्यक्ति के लिए इस सरकार का चलाना संभव नहीं है। 15वां साल हम लोग काम कर रहे हैं। बिहार का क्या बुरा हाल था, अपराध की कितनी घटनाएं घटती थी, सामूहिक नरसंहार, लोग किस तरह से परेशान रहते थे। शाम होने के बाद कोई घर से निकलने की हिम्मत नहीं करता था। यह हाल था। अपहरण कितने लोगों का होता था, जरा बताइए। आजकल तो कुछ भी बोल देता है। पति पत्नी का 15 साल राज, अब बाल बच्चा को मौका मिल रहा है, जो भी बोल रहे हैं वो तो अंदर है। अब कोई रोकेगा जी सबको कभी अंदर जाने से? अंदर तो जाना ही है। इन लोगों का काम ही इस तरह का होता है।
So the question on the Newshour tonight is, who's the PM material? Who are the friends? What happened to the former allegations? What is this new friendship all about? Yes, these are some of the questions, but the legitimate question, will Nitish's lust for power sink this anti-BJP bloc? That's the question, and that's the debate coming up on the other side. Hashtag Aya Nitish, Gaya Nitish. That's the hashtag and the debate on the other side.
You're watching the News Hour at 9. Debate number 1 on Times Now. Super Prime Time.
And joining me tonight, Guru Prakash Paswan, national spokesperson of the BJP, Ashutosh, political analyst, Sanjay Jha, author and suspended Congress leader, Rajiv Ranjan, national spokesperson of the JDU, Abdul Basit Saab, leader of the RJD, with me in the studios here. But my first question, I really want to get the answer from Dr. Anand Ranganathan, author, scientist, what have you. Dr. Anand Ranganathan, I want a common man's perspective on what's going on in Bihar. कौन किसका दोस्त है, कौन किसका दुश्मन था, किसने क्या किसके बारे में कहा था? Do these things matter anymore? Or even Biharis are today saying सब चंगा सी अगर कुर्सी है.
Good evening, Navika, and good evening to all my esteemed panelists. I can very well imagine how much you enjoyed this primer of the last 5 minutes, exposing the hypocrisy of those who were sworn enemies and now are bosom friends. Look, the fact of the matter is, yet again, Nitish Kumar has abandoned the cow and accepted the fodder. As was expected of, pardon the pun, Palti Putra. You know, I can't think of any other politician who has broken off and hooked up so many alliances so many times. I mean, हवन की आग ठंडी भी नहीं होती है कि दूल्हा abandons his bride and pulls his ex for fairas again, and the exes know the script, and so they're always lurking in the vicinity, gorging on butter naans and kadai paneer under the banquet tent. But on a serious note though, Navika, it is time the Election Commission had a serious look at post-poll alliances. They are immoral in that they ridicule the voter who voted against the two adversaries getting together for the sake of opportunism. Nitish betrayed the mandate in 2017 when he hitched up with the BJP. BJP was very quiet then. They were very happy. In Maharashtra, Sena asked for votes on the basis of, ridiculing both Congress and the NCP. Same was the case with JDS and Congress in Karnataka, and BJP and JJP in Haryana. They fight like cats and dogs and convince the voters that they are politically and ideologically polar opposites. But as soon as the results come in, or after a couple of years, the two poles get sucked towards each other to form the core. Voters, मंदिर का घंटा है क्या? जो आता बजा के चला जाता है. This JDU and RJD alliance is a betrayal of the mandate, Navika. Just like JDU and BJP alliance was in 2017. If you want to re-hitch, then go for elections again. Just like the Shiv Sena, Congress and NCP in Maharashtra was a betrayal of the mandate, the Mahavikas Aghadi. The BJP, of course, is no doodh ka dhula. Remember the 3 AM swearing in of Mr. Fadnavis using support of Ajit Pawar, the man Fadnavis vowed he would put behind bars if elected. And remember Manipur 2017, Navika, the BJP had 21 MLAs in a 60-seat house, Congress had 28, and yet the governor invited the BJP to a floor test despite the fact that it did not have a pre-poll alliance with NPF, NPP, LSP. Just Navika, 30 seconds. Politicians understand Darwinian axiom, survival of the fittest. They are competing to survive. They are mutating to survive. Governments, Navika, are a roulette and spin. The players switch sides at will and no one loses in the long run. I began with talking of X's. Well, X is a prefix found most frequently in a politician's CV. Ex-BJP, ex-Congress, ex-BSP, ex-AAP, ex-SP, ex-CPI, ex-TMC, pre-poll alliance, post-poll agreement, coalition dharma, caste arithmetic, regional agreement, local pact, religious deal. These are telltale signs, genetic markers for this disease called politics. But करे तो करे क्या नाविका? जाए तो जाए कहाँ?
जाएं तो जाए कहां? ललन सिंह जी बताइए, जाएं तो जाएं कहां? अब आपका दुश्मन कौन है, आपका दोस्त कौन है, बता दीजिए. हम तो पूरी अब डायरी लेके चला करेंगे, क्योंकि इतनी बार पाले बदल चुके हैं नीतीश जी कि अब तो हिसाब रखना मुश्किल हो गया है कि आपका असली दोस्त है कौन और दुश्मन है कौन. ललन सिंह जी बताइए, ये पीएम मटेरियल का सपना है जो आज ये राजीव रंजन जी, सवाल आपसे पूछ रही हूं, नाम गलत बोला, माफी चाहती हूं. आपका असली दोस्त कौन है, दुश्मन कौन है, और ये पीएम मटेरियल का सपना है जिसकी वजह से आज बीजेपी से नाता तोड़ा है, या ये कोई 2024 की कोई ऐसी आपको अग्रीमेंट मिल गई है कि सारी ऑपोजिशन पार्टीज नीतीश कुमार को बनाएंगी प्रधानमंत्री का फेस, जिसकी वजह से आपने बीजेपी का साथ छोड़ दिया?
नाविका जी, आपने काफी खूबसूरत तरीके से और आनंद रंगनाथन जी ने आज के पूरे विमर्श का जो एजेंडा है वो तय कर दिया है. जिन सवालों के इर्द गिर्द आप इस बहस को ले जाना चाहती हैं, उससे इतर मैं कुछ बातें रखना चाहूँगा. मुझे एक बात केवल बता दीजिए, इस देश में भारतीय जनता पार्टी के साथ 2.5 दशकों के राष्ट्रीय जनतांत्रिक गठबंधन के इस सफर में साथी कौन बचा है? नीतीश कुमार जी ने बिहार में 2 बार अलायंस बदले. भारतीय जनता पार्टी ने कितने अलायंस बनाए और कितने तोड़े, शायद इसकी गणना में आपको सीरीज ऑफ डिबेट्स करना पड़ेगा. और ऐसे गठबंधन भी हुए जिसमें लिबरेशन टाइगर्स ऑफ तमिलम के प्रभाकरन की तस्वीर लगाने वाले दल के साथ भी तमिलनाडु में समझौता हुआ, और कश्मीर को लेकर के कई तरह के विवादित बयानों को देने वाली महबूबा मुफ्ती के खिलाफ पूरे चुनाव में भारतीय जनता पार्टी काफी मुखर थी. लेकिन फिर सत्ता में हिस्सेदारी के लिए उन्होंने पीडीपी से हाथ मिलाया, मौका आने पर झाड़ भी लिया. देश के अलग अलग हिस्सों में अनेक उदाहरण मैं बता दूं पहले आपको। आपने शिवसेना का उदाहरण दिया, आपने नहीं दिया, आनंद रंगनाथन जी ने दिया। मैं ये समझता हूं कि पहली बार जब भारतीय जनता पार्टी महाराष्ट्र गई थी, उनके साथ शिवसेना बड़ी पार्टी थी या भाजपा बड़ी पार्टी थी? भाजपा को बड़ी पार्टी बनाने के लिए देवेंद्र फडणवीस का भी एक मॉडल है। जब वो पिछली बार आए थे, वो मैं बाद में कहूंगा, लेकिन शिवसेना के पर कतरने के लिए उन्होंने क्या क्या किए और अंततः वो कारनामा कर दिखाया कि किस तरह से मुंबई की जनता पर विश्वास नहीं था कि उनके विधायक सुरक्षित रहेंगे, शिंदे जी के असम ले गए और उसके बाद सरकार तो बन गई। 40 दिन लग गए केवल ये आश्वस्त होने में कि इनमें से कई बड़ी संख्या में विधायक फिर से पल्ला झाड़कर शिवसेना की तरफ लौट नहीं जाए। शिरोमणि अकाली दल से लेकर नवीन पटनायक, बहन मायावती से लेकर झारखंड मुक्ति मोर्चा के साथ और अलग अलग राज्यों में, जैसे आपके सामने अन्ना डीएमके का उदाहरण है जिसके 2 टुकड़े इन्होंने करा दिए। आज उनके पास उनकी सुध लेने का वक्त भी नहीं है। ऐसे अनेक उदाहरण हैं। इसलिए जो ये अवसरवादिता का जो ये उदाहरण है, मुझे ऐसा लगता है कि भारतीय जनता पार्टी को इसका पर्याय मानना चाहिए और जब भी कभी अवसरवादी दल की चर्चा करे तो उससे तुलना करना होगा कि उनके मुकाबले बाकी दलों ने कितने बार दल बदले या कितनी बार गठबंधन बदले।
चलिए, गुरु प्रकाश जी,
एक बात बता दीजिए।
राजीव रंजन जी is saying BJP is the last party that should give any discourse on any kind of political morality. Respond to Mr. Rajiv Ranjan.
Navika ji, I was very patiently listening to the senior leader of Janata Dal United, Rajiv ji, but we have to understand a couple of things. Like Anand ji also said, this is not only the breach of mandate, this is breach of trust. बिहार के 12 करोड़ लोगों के साथ धोखा किया है नीतीश कुमार ने। नीतीश कुमार जी पहली बार मुख्यमंत्री बने अटल बिहारी वाजपेयी जी के अनुकंपा से, अभी बने मोदी जी के अनुकंपा से। मुझे लगता है कि नीतीश जी को नैतिक अधिकार पे बोलने का कोई हक नहीं है। अगर आज मौका मिले तो वो ट्रंप के साथ गठबंधन करके जोसेफ बाइडेन को हटा देंगे। इसीलिए मुझे लगता है कि बिहार को जिस व्यक्ति ने you just need to look at the data from 2020 assembly election. BJP contested 110, we won 74. Nitish ji contested 110, he won 43. If this is not breach of trust, if this is not breach of mandate, then what is? Can you please explain it to me? पिछले 2 साल से उनको ये क्लॉस्ट्रोफोबिया नहीं हो रहा था, पिछले 2 साल से उनको ये घुटन नहीं हो रहा था। नीतीश कुमार को बिहार में नीतीश कुर्सी कुमार, नीतीश अनुकंपा कुमार से ही बुलाया जाता है। आज भी मिट्टी में मिल जाऊंगा, आरजेडी के साथ नहीं जाऊंगा। आज भी ये वीडियो यूट्यूब पे उपलब्ध है। सो आई थिंक इट इज द जनता दल यूनाइटेड, Nitish Kumar, who needs to do a lot of introspection. This is a breach of trust of more than 12 crore people of Bihar. बिहार के 12 करोड़ लोगों के साथ उन्होंने धोखा किया है। एंड इन द कमिंग इलेक्शंस ये दूध का दूध पानी का पानी हो जाएगा। आज के बाद ये स्पष्ट हो गया है, बिहार की 40 लोकसभा सीट पे भारतीय जनता पार्टी और देश भर में 400 से अधिक सीटों पे भारतीय जनता पार्टी आएगी। What is the moral authority left with Mr. Nitish Kumar?
ना मॉरल अथॉरिटी है जेडीयू की, ना मॉरल अथॉरिटी है बीजेपी की। तो अब्दुल बासित साहब, मैं आपसे पूछना चाहती हूँ कि अब तो मॉरल अथॉरिटी सिर्फ आपके पास है। लालू जी का ट्वीट दिखाऊं आपको? लालू जी ने क्या कहा था? सांप बुलाया था शायद नीतीश कुमार जी को। ही इज अ स्नेक, पलटू राम भी बोला था। मैं ट्वीट दिखाना चाहती हूँ, जनता देश की जरूर देखना चाहेगी। मैं पढ़कर बताती हूं, ये लालू जी का ट्वीट है 3 अगस्त इसी समय, इसी हाल ही के दिनों में 2017, 5 साल पहले। नीतीश सांप है, जैसे सांप केंचुल छोड़ता है वैसे ही नीतीश भी केंचुल छोड़ता है और हर 2 साल में सांप की तरह नया चमड़ा धारण कर लेता है। किसी को शक? अब बड़ी इज्जत अफजाई करते हैं आप लोग एक दूसरे की बिहार में।
बीजेपी नैतिकता की बात कर रही है।
नहीं बीजेपी को छोड़ दीजिए, आप बीजेपी को छोड़ दीजिए।
मेरी बात समझिए।
लालू जी
आज तो बोले छन्नी बोले जिसमें 75 छेद।
अरे
आप बताइए कि इन्होंने अनुकंपा, ये दोनों पार्टियां ओनली विद सैक्रिफाइस, त्याग के ऊपर आई हैं, आंदोलन के बल पर यहां पर आई हैं। आज कंपैरिजन आप इन पूंजीवादी ताकतों से अगर थर्ड फ्रंट का करना चाह रही है नविका जी, तो ये आपकी अपनी सोच। ये दोनों पार्टियां आंदोलनों से आई हैं। अच्छा, इनका किसी प्रकार से सैक्रिफाइस बन गए। बिहार की जनता,
इस बात का अवार्ड आपको ऑस्कर मिल जाएगा। मुझे आप ये बता दीजिए, नीतीश कुमार जी सांप की चमड़ी बदलकर अब दोबारा आ गए हैं, हाँ या ना? क्योंकि ऐसा लालू जी ने कहा था। मुझे सांप वाली
ये बात आपको बिहार की जनता से पूछनी चाहिए। बिहार की जनता के फेवर में जो भी काम थर्ड फ्रंट के लोगों को करना है वो करना है।
जनता के फेवर का काम आप लोग कर रहे हैं। जनता से पूछ लेते, जनता से वोट मांग। एक मिनट, जनता राजीव रंजन जी जनता से जब वोट मांगने थे, आप गए थे मोदी का फोटो लगाकर। सीटें कम आई थी मोदी से। मैं तो एक मिनट,
नीतीश जी के नाम पे बीजेपी को सीटें बढ़ी थी। मैं आपकी बात को कहता हूं,
अच्छा,
ये सिर्फ झूठ है।
नीतीश के नाम पर बीजेपी को सीटें मिली थी, बहुत अच्छी बात है। तो नीतीश के नाम पर बीजेपी को इतनी सीटें मिल गई कि नीतीश कुमार की कम हो गई। इतने पॉपुलर थे नीतीश कुमार कि उनकी सीटें कम हो गई। और बीजेपी
जो है ना, बीजेपी वो सांप है कि वो अपने केचुओं को बिठा लेता है। अपने गठबंधन को, अपने ही गठबंधन को उसने खाने की कोशिश करी और ये बात खुल गई तो सैक्रिफाइस। आज नीतीश कुमार जी ने जो फैसला लिया वो बहुत बढ़िया लिया। 2024 में मैं आपको मैडम
बासित साहब, आपने सांप कहा, मुझे लगता है एक चीज निकलकर जो आई है आज की डिबेट में अब तक, वो ये बात है। और संजय झा जी, आपका ध्यान आकर्षित कर रही हूं। एक चीज निकल कर आई है कि अब सांपों का व्यापार बढ़ता जा रहा है। लालू called Nitish Kumar a samp. Today, RJD is calling BJP a samp. In this snake family, where does the Congress fit in? I want to know, because they're all used to changing partners every now and then. They are all snakes at one time or the other. What is the Congress's claim to fame in Bihar? Number one. And number two, if Nitish Kumar is the PM material for 2024, as the JDU says, where does that leave Mr. Rahul Gandhi? Would you explain to the people of this country?
हाँ नाविका जी, आपने यहाँ कुछ उदाहरण दिए कि पहले आरजेडी के नेताजी ने शायद नीतीश के बारे में क्या कहा था। आप ये बताना भूल गई कि नीतीश कुमार जी ने नरेंद्र मोदी के बारे में क्या कहा था। नीतीश कुमार जी ने तो खुलेआम, इसीलिए उन्होंने जो गठबंधन को तोड़ा था बीजेपी के साथ 2013 में, क्योंकि उन्होंने कहा था कि 2002 के जो दंगे हुए थे गुजरात में, जिसमें लगभग 1300 से ज्यादा लोगों की, भारतीय नागरिकों की मृत्यु हुई थी, जिनमें महिलाएं थे, बच्चे भी थी, उन्होंने नरेंद्र मोदी और बीजेपी को जिम्मेदार ठहरा था। आई थिंक दैट इज द फंडामेंटल पॉइंट। प्लीज रिमेंबर वन थिंग नाविका, as far as Nitish Kumar's politics is concerned, he was in alliance with the BJP during the time of Atal Bihari Vajpayee. After he noticed the Gujarat model of Amit Shah and Narendra Modi, he broke away in 2013, even before Mr. Modi became Prime Minister. I do believe in 2017, it was a tactical error. That is all right. Everybody makes a mistake in politics. But today, if any political party can author a book called The Art of Double Crossing, it has to be the BJP. Look at what they did to PDP, to Shrimoni Akali Dal, to the TDP in Andhra, to the Shiv Sena in Maharashtra. I can tell you what they did to Uddhav Thackeray in Maharashtra by breaking the Shiv Sena will go down as an epic slaughter in daylight murder of democracy.
What did Mr. Uddhav Thackeray do to the BJP is not part of the curriculum.
Can I answer that?
Curriculum of politics.
Can I answer that, Navika?
Yeah.
Even that is a betrayal. Even that is a betrayal by the BJP of the Shiv Sena, because Uddhav Thackeray raised a very pertinent point. If eventually you have to make Eknath Shinde of the Shiv Sena the chief minister, why didn't you agree to do that in 2019? That's exactly what Uddhav Thackeray was saying. So the BJP has been exposed today in front of the public of India, and I'm saying so with full responsibility. It is the most characterless, shameless, unprincipled, immoral and unethical party in the country. One which has made Operation Lotus a Chanakya Niti. You are insulting the people of India. Navika, I'll give you one example.
Pardon me, Sanjay Jha. Neither, while I'm not saying that the BJP has any right to give moral lectures, you don't, the RJD doesn't, neither does the JDU or the Shiv Sena, because each one of your parties have tried, without going to the people, without taking a new mandate, make a fool out of the people of this country or whichever state that you were fighting elections for. So please do not even attempt to take the high moral ground. इस देश में अगर कोई बेवकूफ रोज बनता है आपके खेलों के बीच में, तो वो है देश की जनता. And Ashutosh, I want to bring you in on this. In Maharashtra, there was one alliance that fought the election, another alliance, and we can write chapter and verse about who let down whom and who should, who sank morality. But the fact is, the people of that state were completely hoodwinked, because the government that came to power once, twice, thrice is not the government that was chosen by the people of that state. Today in Bihar, it's the same situation. I want to ask you, just as Anand Ranganathan said, is it time for us to have some legislations, or is it time for election commissions to come in, or is it time for courts to come in to stop this kind of open, immoral trading of partners just to keep the power in their hands? And in this case, JDU, party number 3, least seats from RJD and BJP. JDU has lesser seats, and they have the claim to the seat of power. Isn't that immoral? और हम कहते हैं हमारा देश जो है पूजा पाठ का देश है.
नविका जी, आप इतने सारे सवाल पूछ रहे कि मेरे लिए जवाब देना थोड़ा मुश्किल हो गया है.
क्यों?
Why do you expect election commission to act? Why do you expect the judiciary to act? Why this political party can't act? If they are indulging into the shameless act, they should be taught a lesson and they should be asked to correct themselves. See, let's not forget it. If in Maharashtra, the people's verdict was robbed by somebody else, in 2015 it is RJD and the JDU who contested together, and 2017 suddenly JDU and the BJP comes together. So who robbed which verdict? Public. So let's not get into this. The history of Indian politics is the crash opportunism, nothing else. And let's also understand this. In 2019, when the BJP was nervous about the Lok Sabha election, BJP sacrificed or did not BJP left 1 seat. BJP had gone 122 in 2014 in Bihar when it contested election alone. In 2019, they left 1 seats to the JDU. So why the BJP was doing? पॉलिटिक्स में कोई दान दक्षिणा नहीं करता है. अगर बीजेपी ने 5 सीटें जो जीती हुई थी 2014 में, अगर वो जनता दल यूनाइटेड को दी थी, इसका मतलब साफ था कि उनको पता था कि अकेले दम पर अगर चुनाव लड़ेंगे तो शायद उनको उतनी सीटें नहीं मिल पाएंगी. इसलिए जनता दल यूनाइटेड. और एक चीज और आपको बता दूं कि 2020 में जनता दल यूनाइटेड की सीटें 43 आई थी. तो क्यों बीजेपी ने एक्सेप्ट किया नीतीश कुमार को एज ए चीफ मिनिस्टर? बिकॉज सीट इज द सेम जनता दल यूनाइटेड जिसकी कंधे पे सवार होकर भारतीय जनता पार्टी ने बिहार की राजनीति में एंट्री ली. 1996 बीजेपी समता पार्टी में अलायंस होता है. 2000 में इलीगली लालू प्रसाद was not allowed to become the chief minister. Nitish Kumar was allowed to become chief minister. That was illegality done by Atal Bihari Vajpayee in the government, and within days Nitish Kumar had to resign, and the Lalu Prasad Yadav and his party was from the government. Who was indulging? So everybody indulged into illegal politics, opportunist politics, immoral politics. Let's not get into this lesson of who is moral, who is not moral.
So you agree that जनता बेवकूफ बन रही है, उनको बनते रहना चाहिए क्योंकि यही हमारी डेस्टिनी है इस देश में. आनंद रंगनाथन, you know, I'm saying that there is no morality in any political party. But Ashutosh feels that उन्होंने किया, it's tit for tat, so let's justify it all.
No, Navika, I need a couple of minutes because it's very important. Ashutosh ji, my good friend, raised a very important question. It's another thing that while I bashed all political parties, and so did you, including mostly BJP as well, Ashutosh is only bashing the BJP, giving a clean check to all other parties as if they are innocent. And Ashutosh, my good friend, right now thankfully has abandoned politics. But you remember the time where he was a politician, his own party said मर जाएंगे बच्चों की कसम, कांग्रेस का सपोर्ट नहीं लेंगे, और उसी सपोर्ट से इन्होंने सरकार बनाई थी. तो ये हमाम में सबके सब, as the phrase goes. But I'll tell you why. You see, this is very important. Away from all the rhetoric and all the hyperbole, I want to give you just facts as to why this is a betrayal of people's mandate. Because let us look at how, by virtue of this so-called double engine sarkar, and just take a minute, the state and central schemes were benefiting Bihar over the last 5 years, and because of which the Biharis voted for the JDU BJP combined. 25 million Jan Dhan accounts were opened, covering all Bihar households. 5 years ago, only 2% Bihar households had water connection. Today it is more than 75%. Take Ujjwala scheme. 9 million Bihar households were recipients of gas cylinders under the central scheme. During COVID, money was transferred directly to the Jan Dhan accounts for buying more gas cylinders. 6 million Biharis were beneficiaries of the PM Kisan scheme, getting 6,000 baht and subsidized electricity 5 years ago. Only 60% of Bihar households had electricity. Today it is 100%. Per capita electricity consumption doubled in 5 years.
So is it your case, is it your case के नीतीश कुमार ने बीजेपी का साथ करके ये सब लिया और अब भाग गए आरजेडी के साथ? Is that the case that you are making out? Well, then let me get in Guru Prakash. गुरु प्रकाश जी, आप तो मुझे ये बता दीजिए, पॉलिटिक्स में आपको भी बहुत एक्सपीरियंस है. आपको जब पता था कि ये आया राम गया राम, पलटू राम, सांप का सब कुछ चल रहा है, ये सब कुछ पब्लिक प्लेटफॉर्म्स पे हो रहा था, तो आपने दोबारा विश्वास क्यों कर लिया? आफ्टर ऑल, you were not innocent when you walked into that relationship with Mr. Nitish Kumar in 2020. The fact of the matter is that you also needed him. Why pretend now that he has done something and you are the keepers of the conscience of this nation?
No, Navika ji, we never said that. And let me make this very clear on your show tonight. Whatever we can say in the name of politics, we still have a great amount of respect for Nitish Kumar. But what he has done in the last 5 years, we need to have an objective perspective over this crass opportunism politics that he has done. ये समझने की आवश्यकता है. What we are not doing is this, you are commenting everywhere. आप खुद ही कहते हैं on the floor of the house, in front of media, मिट्टी में मिल जाऊंगा, आरजेडी के साथ नहीं जाऊंगा. What is your credibility now? Zero credibility. You have negative credibility in the eyes of the people of India, in the eyes of the people of Bihar. Like I told you, politics is changing. Navika ji, politics is changing, which we must realize. The basic arithmetic of caste community is not going to work anymore. We recently saw what happened in Rampur and Azamgarh in Uttar Pradesh, predominantly Muslim seats. The Bharatiya Janata Party won those seats. We are going into election. Our motto is welfare. Our motto is development. And like the Honorable Prime Minister says, Sabka Saath, Sabka Vikas, Sabka Vishwas. And we are banking on that. In 2020 also we said, under the leadership of Nitish Kumar, but under the guidance of Narendra Modi, this was our commitment. But what did we do? लोगों के साथ धोखा, बिहार के लोगों के साथ धोखा. ये आरजेडी का संस्कार यहाँ मत दिखाइए. सुनिए जरा, धैर्य रखिए. आपके बारे में कोई नहीं बोल रहा. आरजेडी के संस्कार यहाँ मत दिखाइए. बिहार को संस्कार राज में लेके जा रहे हैं. और इतिहास में भूल गए. भूल गए बीजेपी, आरएसएस.
जब आप यूपीए में थे तो कौन था
बिहार में?
तो कौन था? कांग्रेस ही था.
तो आप बताइए कौन है राष्ट्रीय जनता दल? है ही नहीं कोई एनडीए देश में. ये सिर्फ एनडीए का बहाना करते हैं. और कोई एनडीए देश में.
राजीव रंजन जी, मुझे सिर्फ इतना बता दीजिए. एक मिनट. राजीव रंजन जी, जो लालू प्रसाद यादव जी हैं, वो नीतीश बाबू के बारे में क्या क्या कहते थे? कहते थे सांप है, फिर तेजस्वी जी ने कहा ये इनका जो कॉन्शियंस है ये कभी कभी जागता है। उसके बाद एक बार ये कहा ऐसा कोई सगा नहीं जिसको नीतीश बाबू ने ठगा नहीं। ये सब बिहार में जो है ये लोगों की जुबान पर ये सारी बातें हैं। तो मैं राजीव रंजन जी से पूछ लूं, मैं जेडीयू ने आज बीजेपी से नाता तोड़ा, उनसे भी पूछना चाहती हूँ।
जरूर पूछ लीजिए।
राजीव रंजन जी, तो मुझे ये बताइए कि
जरूर
ये बताइए कि इतना कुछ सुनने के बाद आप फिर उसी आरजेडी के साथ जा रहे हैं। और दूसरी बात, जब पिछली बार नाता तोड़ा था तो आपने कहा था कि ये जंगल राज की तरफ ले जाते हैं, ये झूठ बोलते हैं, भ्रष्टाचार करते हैं, मैं इनके साथ नहीं रह सकता। आज वो भ्रष्टाचार के सारे सवाल दफना दिया आपने।
देखिए, अब एक बात मुझे बता दीजिए, आपकी तैयारी काफी अच्छी है, लेकिन मैं आपको बहुत सेलेक्टिव होने के लिए पहले बधाई दूं कि मैं आपकी आलोचना करूं, मैं नहीं जानता हूं।
आप कर लीजिए।
मैं एक बात कहूंगा कि जब प्रधानमंत्री नरेंद्र मोदी जी ने बिहार के डीएनए को जब गाली दी थी नरेंद्र मोदी जी ने, उसके बाद नीतीश कुमार जी के साथ उनका समझौता हो गया। ये तो सवाल आपने पूछा नहीं, आपको पूछना चाहिए था भारतीय जनता पार्टी से। अब मैं दूसरी बात कह रहा हूं, भ्रष्टाचार को लेकर जिस कर्नाटक में येदियुरप्पा की सरकार पर, बेल्लारी ब्रदर्स पर और देश के कई सूबों में प्रेम सिंह धूमल की सरकार पर जिस तरह से भ्रष्टाचार के आरोप लगे, देश के अलग अलग राज्यों में भ्रष्टाचार के अनेक कारनामे भाजपा के नेताओं के नाम
तो अब आप कह रहे हैं नीतीश बाबू के लिए भ्रष्टाचार मुद्दा नहीं है, आप ये कह रहे हैं, आप कह रहे हैं कि बीजेपी भी भ्रष्टाचारी थी, हम उनके साथ चले गए तो अब लालू जी की पार्टी के साथ चले गए, तो इसमें क्या बड़ी बात है?
नहीं, मैं जो कहना चाहता हूं आप ये सुनिए, मेरी बात सुन लीजिए। आपने सबको काफी धैर्यपूर्वक सुना है। अब मैं आपको एक बात कह रहा हूं, कोई जंगल राज की बात करेगा, श्रीकांत त्यागी जैसे लोग अगर भारतीय जनता पार्टी में हजारों की तादाद में हो, तो फिर आप कानून व्यवस्था और अपराधियों जो आतंक राज पैदा करने वाले लोग हैं, आज सिलिकॉन वैली जिस बेंगलोर को लोग मानते थे, वहां आप हिजाब और बाइबल को लेकर के हंगामा कर रहे हैं। निवेशक आएंगे आपके यहाँ? आप देश की आर्थिक राजधानी मुंबई है, वहां हनुमान चालीसा के नाम पर पूरे मुंबई को आपने लड़ा दिया। दिल्ली में आपने दंगे करा दिए, उत्तर प्रदेश के अनेक इलाकों में दंगे हो गए। मुझे ऐसा लगता है अगर गवर्नेंस का ये मॉडल है जिसमें आपके केवल वायदे लोगों से वोट लेने के लिए है, तो मुझे लगता है इलेक्शन कमीशन को सही अर्थों में वायदों का भी ऑडिट करना चाहिए। तब पता चलेगा कि 2 करोड़ नौकरियों का क्या हुआ। और मैं एक बात जरूर कहूंगा, अभी बहुत ही दावे के साथ रंगनाथन साहब बोल रहे थे कि बिहार में पानी और बिजली भारतीय जनता पार्टी और एनडीए की देन है। आप गलतफहमी के शिकार हैं।
चलिए,
गांधी मैदान में नीतीश कुमार जी ने हर घर
बड़े खुश हैं आप बासित साहब, बहुत खुश है, बहुत
वाकई स्टेट गवर्नमेंट का काम है। सेंट्रल गवर्नमेंट का किसी प्रकार का
चेहरे इतने दिनों से मुझे नजर आ रहे थे,
बहुत ही
इतने दिनों से मुझे चेहरों पर नया नूर, नई रोशनी, नई चमक आ गई है, नई चमक आ गई है, क्योंकि अब कुर्सी नजर आने लग गई है। ये जो
2024 के लिए है,
जैसे कुर्सी नजर आती है,
2024 के लिए मैंडेट है मैडम, 2024 के लिए। ये नींव 2014 में 3 डिग्री टेम्परेचर के दिन नीतीश कुमार जी ने रखी थी। हमने जंतर मंतर पर बहुत बड़ा धरना दिया था, सारे देश के सेक्रीफाइस।
आप कह रहे हैं
आज वो दोबारा आज 9 तारीख आप याद कर लीजिए, 9 तारीख
गुरु प्रकाश जी 2024 में नीतीश कुमार जी बन जाएंगे प्रधानमंत्री कैंडिडेट फ्रॉम द ऑपोजिशन। रास्ता साफ, तेजस्वी जी चीफ मिनिस्टर बन जाएंगे। पूरी फेरी टेल फिक्स्ड है। रिस्पॉन्ड, इट्स ऑल आउट, इट्स ऑल सॉर्टेड।
नहीं, नाविका जी देश के प्रधानमंत्री नहीं, वो अमेरिका के राष्ट्रपति बनेंगे नीतीश कुमार और यूनाइटेड नेशन के सेक्रेटरी जनरल बनेंगे तेजस्वी यादव। ये मतलब थोड़ा इनको नेशनल क्यों आप कर रहे हैं? इनका ग्लोबल अपील है।
आप ये
The JDU leaders, they are talking about what is happening in Maharashtra. JDU leaders are talking about what is happening in Karnataka. And now again, this is the real sanskar of our
Clearly, ladies and gentlemen, people of this country are just incidental to the political system. And I will not single out any political party. Each one of them have on different occasions raised the bar of their own lust for power, and people have not come in the way of that lust for power. And that is exactly what we are seeing happening in Bihar. Is it the first time? Certainly not. We saw this a few days ago in Maharashtra. It's happened before. But will it be the last time? How long will political parties try the patience of the people of India? That is a question that many people are asking, because that question requires an answer, because democracy is about people choosing the government that they vote for. What we are seeing is shenanigans in the middle of a mandate that certainly isn't given to the people who actually end up in the seat of power. So are people of India going to be just voting machines, or will they have a say in the government that governs them? That's very important for people to know. Thank you very much to my panelists for joining me on this debate. But on the issue of the government in Bihar, I spoke just a short while ago to Giriraj Singh, Union Minister, on what he thought about this power shift in Bihar. Listen. गिरिराज सिंह जी नमस्कार, टाइम्स नाउ नव भारत पर आपका स्वागत है। गिरिराज सिंह जी, मैं आपसे पूछना चाहती हूं, ये पलटू राम की राजनीति कही जा रही है, कभी हां कभी ना, कभी नीतीश भाई आपके साथ होते हैं, कभी वापस तेजस्वी जी के पास चले जाते हैं। ये कौन सा खेल चल रहा है कि पहले जब जाते हैं तो आप उनके साथ छोड़ देते हैं, फिर आप उनको गले लगा लेते हैं, फिर आप उनके साथ सरकार बना लेते हैं, आज वो फिर छोड़कर चले गए तो आप बुरा भला कह रहे हैं। ये कौन सी राजनीति का डेमोन्स्ट्रेशन आप दिखा रहे हैं भारत के देशवासियों को?
नाविका जी, आप बरसों से एक सफल पत्रकारिता के क्षेत्र में काम कर रही हैं। इसके भी कुछ एथिक होते हैं, इसके भी आप देखती होंगी, पत्रकारों का भी, मीडिया का भी, मीडिया हाउस का भी लोग पीछे में रैंकिंग करते हैं। रैंकिंग इसलिए करते हैं कि जब हम एथिक्स से हटते हैं, नीतीश बाबू शायद जीवन में जयप्रकाश के आंदोलन के निकले हुए तो हैं, लेकिन नीति और नियत दोनों को ताखे पर रख करके राजनीति किया। मुझे ध्यान में है कि मैं उनके साथ यहाँ मंत्री था बिहार में, और 2010 में उन्होंने नरेंद्र मोदी जी का डिनर कैंसिल किया और क्या कहा कि हम मुकदमा करेंगे क्योंकि उनका फोटो हो गया। यही नीतीश कुमार जी गुजरात जाकर के नरेंद्र मोदी की सरकार की तारीफ किए थे। अब फिर मैं, और उन्होंने कहा कि ये मुझसे तो भूल हो गई, मैं समझ नहीं पाया। उस समय भी मैंने कहा था, कुछ एक कहानी सुनाया था, जो आपके पास कहानी सुनने का समय नहीं होगा लेकिन राजनीतिक तथ्य है। अटल बिहारी वाजपेयी जी जब एनडीए की सरकार नहीं, जनता पार्टी की सरकार गिरी थी, उस समय हम पर आरोप लगा दोहरी सदस्यता का, तो अटल जी ने पटना के गांधी मैदान में ही कहा था कि एक जट और जटिन की कहानी, तो मैं वहां नहीं जाता। आज मैं कह रहा हूं कि ये कह रहे हैं मेरे सांसदों की खरीद बिक्री हो, मेरे विधायकों की, और फिर ये भी कहते हैं कि मेरे विधायक तो बिकने वाले नहीं हैं।
नीतीश जी ने खरीद बिक्री का काम यहाँ जब सत्ता में आए तो उन्होंने शुरू की, उनकी राजनीति मैं उस पर कोई टिप्पणी नहीं करूंगा। लेकिन 2013 में 10 से वो बनाने लगे माहौल कि कैसे हम अलग हों, क्योंकि बीजेपी ने एक अच्छे गठबंधन के साथी के नाते आपने सुना होगा कि रवि बाबू ने भी कहा, सब लोगों ने, इनका 36 था, मेरा 63 था, हमने माना। और जब से गठबंधन में इनको नेता माना, ईमानदारी से पालन किया, तो निकलने का जगह नहीं मिल रहा था। तो उन्होंने पहले डिनर कैंसिल किया, फिर धीरे धीरे माहौल, और निकले काहे, लोगों ने कहा पीएम मटेरियल है, पीएम मटेरियल है। और पीएम मटेरियल उनके रात दिन उनके सपने में आने लगे, और उन्होंने फिर गठबंधन तोड़ा। और 14 में इनमें हिम्मत नहीं है।
गिरिराज जी, आप पुरानी बातें क्यों कह रहे हैं? पुरानी बातें तो हमको सबको मालूम है, हम सबने देखा था 2013 में क्या हुआ, 14 में क्या हुआ। मुझे तो आप सिर्फ इतना बता दीजिए, आपको जब उनकी फितरत का मालूम था, आपको जब उनकी फितरत का मालूम था, तो आपने दोबारा उनके साथ बंधन क्यों किया?
नाबिका जी जरा, मैं नाबिका जी जरा दूसरों का भी सुनने का कष्ट करें, मैं आग्रह पूर्वक कर रहा हूं। मैं कह रहा हूं इनके ऊपर एक महत्वाकांक्षा जब जगा था, तो 2013 में प्रधानमंत्री बनने के लिए भी उन्होंने 10 से बहाना करके तोड़ा। फिर उन्होंने जो हुआ 17 में आकर के, और अकेले चुनाव लड़ने की ताकत नहीं हुई, 2014 में लड़े, 2 हुआ, और 17 में फिर आए। फिर इस बार इनको लगा कि अब नहीं तो कभी नहीं, 2024 में हम प्रधानमंत्री के दावेदार होंगे। फिर उन्होंने आरसीपी का मामला उठाया। आरसीपी के मामले में मैं आपसे पूछना चाहता हूं, 1 साल हुआ, कभी इन्होंने नरेंद्र मोदी जी को या अमित शाह जी को कभी तो इन्होंने इनकार नहीं किया, साहब मेरे इच्छा के विरुद्ध क्यों रखे। इनके इच्छा के विरुद्ध गठबंधन में एक निर्णय नहीं हुआ। इनके महत्वाकांक्षा में प्रधानमंत्री बनने की महत्वाकांक्षा इतना प्रबल है कि इनकी नीति और नियत और नीतीश कुमार का 100 तीनों उसमें खत्म हो गया। और उन्होंने अपनी सारी मर्यादा को, जो इनके भतीजा ने नाम दिया था पलटू राम, वो फिर पलट गए। लोग नहीं सोचा था। ईमानदारी मैं कहता हूं कि राजनीति में भी सुचिता होती है। एक बार उन्होंने जो भी
सुचिता की बात आप कर रहे हैं, गिरिराज जी,
इतना सवार हो गया
गिरिराज जी,
प्रधानमंत्री बनने का।
मैं एक सवाल पूछूं आपसे, छोटा सा सवाल है, पब्लिक का सवाल है। पब्लिक पूछ रही है कि आपको उनकी नीति नियति दोनों पता थी, फिर भी आपने उनके साथ भरोसा करके सरकार बनाई। उनके नंबर कम थे, आपने उनको मुख्यमंत्री बनाया। क्या आपको तब अंदेशा नहीं था? और कल अब वो तीसरी बार शपथ लेंगे 4 बजे कल शाम को, तो बीजेपी क्या करेगी?
बीजेपी जो करना है वो करेगी, चिंता मत करे। बीजेपी नीतीश कुमार को पैदा किया 96 में, गठबंधन में जगह देके। नीतीश जी से बीजेपी पैदा नहीं हुआ है। अब बीजेपी आज राजनीति अपने नीतियों के आधार पे कर रहा है, और हम अपने नीतियों के आधार पर करेंगे। मुझे ये अलग हो गए, मैं अपने राजनीति, लेकिन इनमें हिम्मत नहीं है कि अकेले चुनाव लड़ ले। ये एक बार 2014 में केवल अकेले चुनाव लड़े, और लड़े तो अपना औकात एहसास हो गया कि ये जब भी होगा तभी दूसरी बार, एक बार लड़े आरजेडी के साथ और सब दिन लड़े बीजेपी के साथ। इसलिए हमको तो जो करना है हम करेंगे ही, और हम अपनी बात जनता के बीच ले भी जाएंगे, और जनता के सवालों का जवाब भी देंगे। और मैं आज कह रहा हूं कि नीतीश जी जिस सपना को लेकर, महत्वाकांक्षा को लेकर के
ये जनादेश को फिर तोड़ा है, पहले भी उन्होंने किया था, तो हम उसका बदला भी जनता के माध्यम से लेंगे, ये भरोसा मैं आपको दिला रहा हूं।
तो ये बदला जल्दी लेंगे या 2024 तक ये मुलतवी कर देंगे आप गिरिराज जी? और लोग पूछ रहे हैं कि कल तो वो मुख्यमंत्री अगर बन गए,
ये कोनो गुंडागर्दी है? नाविका जी, ये कोई फिजिकल लड़ाई होती है जो बदला तुरंत लेंगे? ये लोकतंत्र है नाविका जी, समय आता है, माहौल रहता है, उसके प्लेटफार्म है, वो होगा, चिंता मत करें।
नहीं तो ये बदला, एक चीज बता दीजिए गिरिराज जी, महाराष्ट्र, पब्लिक पूछ रही है महाराष्ट्र वाला बदला होगा या बिहार का बदला 24 में ही होगा? गिरिराज जी, महाराष्ट्र वाला फॉर्मूला तो नहीं होगा?
आप उसकी चिंता ना करें। हाँ,
महाराष्ट्र वाला फॉर्मूला
अब देखिए, इसकी चिंता छोड़ दीजिए कि आप उसकी चिंता छोड़ दीजिए। राजनीति में, लोकतंत्र में उसके अलग परिभाषा है और वह परिभाषा के लिए अलग प्लेटफार्म तैयार होता है। राजनीतिक लड़ाई लड़ेंगे, समय आएगा आपको बता दूंगा।
Ladies and gentlemen, you cannot escape the long hands of the law, and Shrikant Tyagi's arrest proves just that. After abusing and assaulting a woman, Tyagi tried to escape from the law. He thought his entitlement would shield him. He thought he was above the law and escaped to merit, but he ran out of luck and was arrested by Noida police. His bail has also been denied, but when Times Now confronted him, he offered a belated apology. Listen it.
जी बताइए, ऐसी बोल रहे थे जी, चलो आपत्तिक भाषा का इस्तेमाल नहीं करें। श्रीकांत कुछ कहना है? जी बताइए, ऐसी बोल रहे थे जी, चलो आपत्तिक भाषा का इस्तेमाल नहीं करें। श्रीकांत कुछ कहना है? जी बताइए, ऐसी बोल रहे थे जी, चलो आपत्तिक भाषा का इस्तेमाल नहीं करें। श्रीकांत कुछ कहना है? जी बताइए, ऐसी बोल रहे थे जी, चलो आपत्तिक भाषा का इस्तेमाल नहीं करें। श्रीकांत कुछ कहना है? जी बताइए, ऐसी बोल रहे थे जी, चलो आपत्तिक भाषा का इस्तेमाल नहीं करें। श्रीकांत कुछ कहना है? जी बताइए, ऐसी बोल रहे थे जी, चलो आपत्तिक भाषा का इस्तेमाल नहीं करें। श्रीकांत कुछ कहना है? जी बताइए, ऐसी बोल रहे थे जी, चलो आपत्तिक भाषा का इस्तेमाल नहीं करें।
The arrest has given a reason to the BJP to celebrate. They say this is how lawlessness is handled in Yogi's Uttar Pradesh. The probe also gave rise to a political twist. A Vidhayak sticker on Tyagi's car and a number plate with UP government emblem were spotted. The sticker has put the Samajwadi Party now in a spot because Tyagi revealed to the police that the MLA pass was given by Swami Prasad Maurya, an alliance partner, a man who's now in the Samajwadi Party, but was part of the BJP in the state until January this year. So now the BJP and SP are trading charges, but can they both shirk the blame? And who allowed a free run to this emboldened goon is a question people will continue to ask.
Shrikant Tyagi thought his political connections could buy him immunity from the law. But when Times Now exposed his high-handedness, his arrogance crumbled. Your voice, your resolve, powered a memorable victory.
Rousing welcome by the resident.
Tyagi is today in custody. His arrest is a tribute to what Times Now and you, that is us, can do together. Times Now. Action begins here.
Thank you very much, ladies and gentlemen, for joining me on the Newshour. Good night. Be safe.
The News Hour at 9 will be right back after the break.
The most pressing issue, the most informed minds, free and fair exchange. Converse India with Rahul Shivshankar.
3-4 ತಲೆಮಾರುಗಳಿಗೆ ಆಗುವಷ್ಟನ್ನು ನಾವು ಮಾಡಿಕೊಟ್ಟಿದ್ದೇವೆ ನೆಹರು, ಇಂದಿರಾ ಗಾಂಧಿ, ಸೋನಿಯಾ ಗಾಂಧಿ ಹೆಸರಲ್ಲಿ. ಕಾಂಗ್ರೆಸ್ ಅನ್ನು ಬಲಗೊಳಿಸಬೇಕು, ಸೋನಿಯಾ ಗಾಂಧಿ ಅವರಿಗೆ ಶಕ್ತಿ ತುಂಬಬೇಕು, ನೈತಿಕವಾಗಿ ಅವರಿಗೆ ಒಂದು ಸಮಾಧಾನ ಇವತ್ತು ಆಗಬೇಕು. ನನಗೆ ಒಂದು ಸಮನ್ಸ್ ಕೊಟ್ಟಿದ್ದಕ್ಕೆ ಕಾಂಗ್ರೆಸ್ನ ಕಾರ್ಯಕರ್ತರು ದೇಶಾದ್ಯಂತ ನನ್ನ ಜೊತೆಗೆ ನಿಂತಿದ್ದಾರೆ. ನನ್ನ ಗಂಡನ ಪ್ರಾಣ ಕಳ್ಕೊಂಡಿದ್ದಕ್ಕೆ, ನನ್ನ ಮಗನ ಕಷ್ಟಕ್ಕೆ, ನಮ್ಮ ಅತ್ತೆಯ ಕಷ್ಟಕ್ಕೆ, ನೆಹರು ಮಾಡಿದ ಕಷ್ಟಕ್ಕೆ ಈ ದೇಶದ ಜನ ನಮ್ಮ ಋಣ ತೀರಿಸಿಕೊಳ್ತಾ ಇದ್ದಾರೆ ಅಂತಕ್ಕಂಥ ಒಂದು ಸಮಾಧಾನ ಇವತ್ತು ಸೋನಿಯಾ ಗಾಂಧಿ ಅವರಿಗೆ ಆದ್ರೆ ನಾವೆಲ್ಲರೂ ತಿಂತಕ್ಕಂಥ 2 ಹೊತ್ತಿನ ಊಟ ಸಾರ್ಥಕ ಆಗುತ್ತೆ. 3-4 ತಲೆಮಾರುಗಳಿಗೆ ಆಗುವಷ್ಟನ್ನು ನಾವು ಮಾಡಿಕೊಟ್ಟಿದ್ದೇವೆ ನೆಹರು, ಇಂದಿರಾ ಗಾಂಧಿ, ಸೋನಿಯಾ ಗಾಂಧಿ ಹೆಸರಲ್ಲಿ. ಈ ಕಿಂಚತ್ತು ತ್ಯಾಗಕ್ಕೆ ನಾವು ತಯಾರಾಗದೆ ಹೋದ್ರೆ ನಾವು ಇನ್ನು ಮುಂದಕ್ಕೆ ತಿಂತಕ್ಕಂಥ ಅನ್ನದಲ್ಲಿ ಹುಳು ಬೀಳುತ್ತೆ.
He has openly confessed, he has openly admitted. In fact, taking this cognizance, I think our agencies should book a case, should really book a case against him and also make an enquiry, because he would be knowing who are all the beneficiaries.
You're watching the News Hour at 9.
Row over Delhi excise policy intensifies. Ex-Delhi LG Anil Bajal says that Deputy Chief Minister Manish Sisodia is trying to find an alibi for his colleagues' act of omission and commission. The Aam Aadmi Party has filed an application in the Supreme Court opposing the PIL against political parties promising to distribute freebies during election campaigns. TMC Birbhum District President Anubrata Mandal summoned by CBI again in connection with the cattle smuggling case. Congress star campaigner Mirchi Baba has been arrested on rape charges. He was arrested in a joint action of Bhopal Police and Gwalior Crime Branch.
You were watching the News Hour at 9. Stay tuned.
fact of the matter is, whether it is imported inflation, whether it is tinkering of GST for a longer period, the fact is that the burden is on the common man. And the common man, frankly, doesn't really care about what's happening in the United States, or the UK or Russia or Ukraine. They're worried about their day-to-day living and per capita incomes where they are in India. The pressure is as much, magnified on common people in this country than they are abroad. And of course, you have social security systems which exist abroad, which don't exist in India. So I come back to asking you the same question. Is the government really being rather hard-hearted when it looks at these issues? After all, running a country of the kind that India is, with poor middle classes, lower middle classes forming the bulk of the population, do you think the government is doing enough, to cushion the impact on these classes of people?
So let me say that as a policy maker, one has to make various trade-offs. So first of all, let me be clear that the government is fully cognizant of the spike in inflation. Otherwise, you wouldn't have seen the measures we have taken, including the Reserve Bank tightening monetary policy.
Good evening and welcome. You're watching the Newshour Agenda, India's most loved primetime show at 10. I'm Padmaja Joshi. It's happened again. Nitish Kumar changed his mind again and returned to the RJD. The same party who he, by the way, had branded the torchbearer of Jungle Raj just a few months ago. Anyway, it is still unclear why the JDU leader decided to take this step, because when he was asked this specific question today, he gave no clear answers. Why did he break the alliance? Why is he angry with the BJP? Why did he feel betrayed? The answers remain a little fuzzy. His now alliance partner, Tejashi Yadav, though, pitched it as, you guessed it right, an effort to stop the dictatorial and anti-democratic juggernaut, the BJP.
सात पार्टियां एक साथ आप समझ लीजिए कि लोकसभा में 164 और इसके अलावा एक इंडिपेंडेंट हम लोग के साथ 7 पार्टी और एक अकेला इंडिपेंडेंट, और हम लोग जो उधर थे उनसे हम लोगों ने रास्ता आज समाप्त कर दिया और हम लोग एक साथ मिल करके 7 पार्टियों में जो हम लोगों का महागठबंधन है, हम मिल करके आगे काम करेंगे, सेवा करेंगे।
और ये तो इतिहास बताता है कि भाजपा जहां रहती है, जिसके साथ रहती है, उसको खत्म करने में लगी रहती है। लेकिन जो देश में जो अराजकता का जो माहौल बन रहा है, जो सांप्रदायिकता जिस प्रकार से फल फूल रही है, जिस प्रकार से सामाजिक न्याय पे हमला हो रहा है, उसको देखते हुए, देश के माहौल को, स्थिति को देखते हुए, आप बीजेपी का तो एक ही काम है, डराओ, जो डरता है उसको डराओ और जो बिकता है उसको खरीदो। पूरे देश में क्या हो रहा है आपको नहीं पता।
Although there are theories aplenty about what could have possibly upset Nitish Kumar enough for him to walk out on this alliance, the most often touted theory is the inclusion of one-time close Nitish aide RCP Singh in the union cabinet, allegedly without Nitish Kumar's approval. Then there have been public disagreements on issues like prohibition and the caste census. Under the surface, though, many speak of how Nitish Kumar's real bugbear was the feeling that he is not being given the kind of respect that he once commanded in the BJP at the time of Atal Bihari Vajpayee, and the nagging fear that sooner rather than later an expansionist BJP will slowly chip away at his party little by little. The BJP, though, sees in it only one reason: greed and lust for power.
2020 के चुनाव में एनडीए गठबंधन के तहत हम सबों ने चुनाव लड़ा था और जो मेजॉरिटी और मैंडेट था वह एनडीए में भाजपा और जनता दल यूनाइटेड को जनता ने मैंडेट दिया था। हम 74 सीट जीतने में कामयाब हुए थे। उसके बावजूद भी माननीय प्रधानमंत्री जी ने और माननीय गृह मंत्री जी ने जो वादा किया था, हमने उस वादे का पूर्णतः पालन किया और माननीय नीतीश कुमार जी इस NDA गठबंधन के मुख्यमंत्री बने। और जो कुछ भी आज हुआ है वह न केवल भाजपा बल्कि बिहार की सारी जनता के साथ धोखा है और बिहार की जनता इसको कतई बर्दाश्त नहीं करेगी।
वो जस्टिफाई करेंगे ये हमारे समझ में नहीं आती है बात। ये ऐसे पार्टी के साथ जाना जिसको कि इन्होंने कई बार कहा कि भ्रष्टाचार का पर्याय है, ये जिसको कई बार इन्होंने कहा कि ये साहब बिहार को डुबा दिया इस पार्टी ने, पुनः पहले उस पार्टी में गए, उसको छोड़ करके आए हम लोग, फिर जा रहे हैं वापस।
माननीय नीतीश कुमार जी संपूर्ण जीवन कांग्रेस पार्टी के खिलाफ लड़ते रहे और आज फिर कांग्रेस के साथ जुड़ गए। यह कतई उचित नहीं है। बिहार की जनता ने जो मैंडेट दिया था 2020 में, उस मैंडेट के साथ धोखा हुआ है। यह एक नैतिक लड़ाई है। इस नैतिक लड़ाई को भारतीय जनता पार्टी बिहार की जनता के साथ मिलकर लड़ेगी।
So is this Mahatwakansha ambition? Is that the real reason for the split? One can't entirely discount the possibility given the glee and happiness this split seemed to spark in the anti-BJP bloc. It's almost as if a Goliath had been felled and now the Congress, Samajwadi Party, RJD, all of them hailed it as a sign of how this is a booster dose for 2024.
आज की तारीख में NDA में प्रधानमंत्री हैं नरेंद्र मोदी जी, लेकिन व्यक्तित्व के रूप में या एक पर्सनालिटी जो देश भर के स्तर पे देखा जा रहा है, उसके आधार पे यदि आकलन किया जाए तो नीतीश कुमार जी प्रधानमंत्री बनने के हर तरह से योग्य हैं। अब उस व्यक्ति के बारे में यह कहना ठीक है कि राजनीतिक परिस्थिति के हिसाब से चीजें होती हैं। आज हम कोई दावेदारी नहीं कर रहे हैं, लेकिन नीतीश कुमार जी प्रधानमंत्री बनने की हर तरह की योग्यता रखते हैं।
नहीं, मैं मानता हूं कि वो काबिल आदमी है, तो यदि सारे अपोजिशन के सहमति से वो बनते हैं तो सबसे काबिल आदमी है वो। तो लोग मांग कर रहे हैं, कोई गलत नहीं कर रहे हैं।
You're watching the News Hour at 10, debate number 1 on Times Now, Super Prime Time.
Alright, News Hour Direct, let's go straight across to former Union Minister Ravi Shankar Prasad. Ravi Shankar ji, why do you think Nitish Kumar has walked out today? What in your mind is the one reason? Ravi Shankar ji, what do you think is the one reason that Nitish ji has broken the alliance with you?
Well, you don't ask me this question, ask him. In 2020, his party got 45-46 seats or 47 seats. BJP has nearly double. Nitish ji ensured, Narendra Modi ji ensured he becomes the chief minister again. We won Bihar because of the campaign by Narendra Modi ji. His appeal has diminished. In 2019, he won the Lok Sabha, good number, his party along with us, happy because of campaign by Narendra Modi ji. तो नरेंद्र मोदी जी के नाम पर आप जीतेंगे और 2 साल में छोड़ देंगे? This is a downright insult of the mandate of the people of Bihar. Apart from regressing Bihar again into lawlessness, corruption and khawf, which is a byword along with RJD, you all know it very well. Therefore, again I am asking this question. You were bitterly opposed to Narendra Modi ji. You asked in 2017 questions because Mr. Tejasvi was not able to explain the repeated insinuations and serious allegations of corruption in Bharti into railways. You know it very well, land for appointment,
hotel sale of railways in Ranchi and mall construction. He refused to reply. You walked out. Good. Again today you are going. Therefore you refuse to accept the mandate, take political benefit out of the leadership of Narendra Modi ji in Lok Sabha and Vidhan Sabha again. Is it fair? In 2005 the BJP met in the leader, as I said in my press conference. Late George Fernandes and others in the JDU were not comfortable. But late Pramod Mahajan, late Sushma Swaraj, late Arun Jaitley, all of us, we persuaded our leaders that we need to have a face. And ultimately Nitish became the face. The chief minister did well with BJP. Then again because of Narendra Modi you walked out. Then you came in. Then this whole Nitish Kumar politics of walking in and walking out. I'm sorry, this has really been a very sad moment for my state, Bihar. And we shall firmly reply to it in 24 Lok Sabha and also in 25 Vidhan Sabha. The people of Bihar will reply.
Let me quickly draw the attention of our viewers to the statistics that Ravishankar Prasad was talking about. The number of seats contested by the BJP was less than the number which was contested by the JDU, yet they ended up winning 74 as compared to the 43 of the JDU, yet Nitish Kumar was made the chief minister. Now many people would ask you why? Why, Ravi Shankar ji? Do you think you made a mistake? You earlier spoke of your experience at the time of George Fernandes, and now again, somebody who had done business with the RJD, why did you agree to make him the chief minister?
Because Mr. Nitish Kumar came to us that I have fought on the issue of corruption, we said welcome. We trust our allies. And Padmaja, just for the sake of viewers, why did Nitish Kumar leave Lalu Prasad in 90s? When we were fighting the fodder scam case, you remember I was a lawyer in Patna High Court seeking a CBI inquiry in the fodder scam, leading to Lalu Prasad and the whole people going to jail. Then Samta Party came with us in the fight against Lalu Prasad. From 90s, became the role minister. We protected him chief minister in 2000 also. Became the agriculture minister. Then CM again in 2005. तो आपको बीजेपी के साथ सत्ता भोगने में आनंद आता है और फिर एकाएक चल देते हैं आप. तो अगर आपको इतनी परेशानी थी तो 2020 में नहीं बनते मुख्यमंत्री अगेन. एंड रिमेंबर पद्मजा, काइंडली सी योर ओल्ड फुटेज. देयर वाज अ विक्ट्री सेलिब्रेशन इन द वेक ऑफ बिहार्स बीजेपी एंड NDA victory, where Narendra Modi ji, while addressing the crowd, announced that Nitish Kumar will be the chief minister again.
At that time, because you mentioned it, I was in Patna, Ravi ji. And a lot of your cadre felt कि अगर आपकी 75 सीटें आई हैं तो आपका CM होना चाहिए, जिसकी जितनी संख्या भारी. क्या आपको लगता है in hindsight there was a mistake, or was it because you did not have a strong inner leadership caste combination को देख के?
आप एक बात साफ जान लीजिए, एक बार हमारे नेता प्रधानमंत्री जी ने फैसला कर दिया तो हम लोगों ने मान लिया, कोई सवाल नहीं. क्योंकि जो जीत हुई थी, और आपको आई वांट टू रिमाइंड यू एंड योर व्यूअर्स ऑल ओवर द कंट्री, इन 20 विधानसभा इलेक्शन देयर वाज अ 5-phase polls. Since you had the experience of Bihar at that point in time, in the first phase there was voting from the outskirts of Patna till the UP border. We won hardly 3-4 seats in the entire large geography of that area. Rest all opposition won. Then Narendra Modi comes, start effective campaigning. You remember Jangal Raj ke do Yuvraj? You have forgotten that? In the second phase, in the third phase, in the fourth phase and the fifth phase. And the NDA's numbers started going up and up. The people trusted that we need double engine government. That's how we won. How he wins. Today he has got 16 MP in Lok Sabha in 2019 elections. Ask any of those MP कि आप नरेंद्र मोदी के नाम पर जीते हैं, नीतीश कुमार के नाम पर जीते हैं. तो ये तो हकीकत है ना. Therefore, again I am asking, again he is going with Tejasvi Yadav. All those questions of corruption, of the railway bharti scam, of the hotel railway sale scam, of the mall scam and the CBI inquiry all have become irrelevant now? Recently, a Rajdar Bholado have been arrested by the CBI. That troubles me. Nitish Kumar ji, you are known for some degree of propriety and political integrity. Where is that?
क्या आपने जेडीयू को तोड़ने की कोशिश की?
अच्छा, हमको एक चीज बता दीजिए आप, जदयू को हम अपने जिनसे हम रिश्ते रखते हैं तोड़ते नहीं है ना? अभी तो मैंने आपको 20-25 साल का इतिहास बताया कि नहीं बताया? तो रिश्ते तो थे उनसे हमारे। और नरेंद्र मोदी जी को याद करिए, नीतीश कुमार ने बिहार में आने से बैन किया था। उन्होंने कहा यह कैंपेन नहीं करेंगे और नरेंद्र मोदी नेता बनेंगे तो मैं एनडीए से वॉकआउट कर जाऊंगा। वो चले गए थे 13 में, आप याद होगा आपको। और देखिए हमारे नेता नरेंद्र मोदी का बड़ा हृदय कि 20 में उनको 43 सीट आई, फिर भी उन्होंने कहा कि नहीं, नरेंद्र मोदी जी, नीतीश कुमार बनेंगे मुख्यमंत्री। और नरेंद्र मोदी जी ने पब्लिकली कहा कि नहीं, कि राम मनोहर लोहिया, जॉर्ज फर्नांडिस और नीतीश कुमार जो लोग ईमानदार सोशलिस्ट लीडर्स हैं, इससे अधिक और क्या चाहती हैं आप? He trusted him, he appreciated him, he publicly commended him, and you are giving this kind of reply. Therefore, we normally don't speak, but today in my press conference and on your channel today, I thought the country is required to be told all these flip-flops कि नीतीश कुमार जी क्या चाहते हैं आप?
Finally, let me ask you, because this is the big mystery. RCP Singh coming into the union cabinet for all practical purposes was the breaking point. आज सुबह लल्लन सिंह जी ने भी कहा कि मोदी जी नहीं फैसला करेंगे कि हमारी पार्टी से कौन मंत्री बनेगा नहीं बनेगा. You tried to damage him and he decided to fight for survival. Did Nitish ji agree to the cabinet position that you gave to his party member or not?
आप तो बड़े अनुभवी पत्रकार हैं. नरेंद्र मोदी जी अमित शाह क्या पहली बार कोalition का काम कर रहे थे क्या? 14 में भी किया था ना, पूरे अपने मेजॉरिटी के बावजूद. 19 में भी किया था. Mr. RCP has publicly stated that Nitish Kumar asked him to go and take oath and he will make Lalan Singh as the national president. In the national executive meeting of JDU, the induction of Mr. Ramchandar Babu was appreciated. But let me ask a very, very fundamental question. अगर नीतीश कुमार जी को परेशानी थी तो 7 जुलाई को रामचंद्र बाबू बने थे ना कैबिनेट में, याद होगा आपको? वो कहते ना आप रिजाइन करो, बाहर आओ, मैं लाइक नहीं करता हूं तुमको, क्यों चले गए तुम? तो ये 1 साल 1 महीने के बाद ये कौन सा ज्ञान आ गया कि आरसीपी का प्रकरण शुरू हो गया? Padmaja, I am not going to comment upon the internal strife of JDU. There may be many. But come on, come with logic which is palatable.
All right. Mr. Ravi Prasad, thank you very much for speaking to us. These are going to be interesting times. Roughly 3 more years left of this government. The most interesting thing, though, will be the reaction of the people of Bihar, because this was one of the closest fought elections in recent memory. Thank you very much for joining us. I'm going to open this up. Let me take this across to Rakesh Sinha, Member of Parliament of the Rajya Sabha, Harshvardhan Tripathi, Senior Journalist, Abhishek Jha, Spokesperson JDU, Faiz Siddiqui, National Youth President and Spokesperson of the HAM Party, and Shubhran Rai, Leader of the Congress. Rakesh Sinha ji, I will try and get that answer from you. What really went wrong? Harshvardhan Tripathi, if you can answer that, what went wrong? Why did Nitish Kumar walk out? Was he feeling कि मुझे respect नहीं मिल रहा है इस alliance में, or was it ambition?
मुझे लगता है कि पद्मजा ये दोनों चीजें थी, और जब मैं ये कह रहा हूं तो उसमें एक और बात शामिल कीजिए कि भारतीय जनता पार्टी ने 2017 में जनता के मैंडेट और अपने कार्यकर्ताओं दोनों का अपमान किया था. 2015 में लालू जी और नीतीश जी मिलकर चुनाव लड़े. 2017 में नीतीश कुमार ने इसी तरह से लालू प्रसाद यादव की पार्टी को डंप कर दिया था. तो ये नीतीश कुमार का चरित्र है. वो मूलतः जेपी के 3 चेले हैं जिन्होंने बिहार की बर्बादी की पटकथा लिखी, और उसमें भाजपा के सुशील मोदी भी शामिल हैं. लालू प्रसाद यादव, नीतीश कुमार और सुशील कुमार मोदी. लेकिन अब का जो घटनाक्रम है यहां नीतीश कुमार की महत्वाकांक्षा, उनका इररेलीवेंट होते जाना भारतीय राजनीति में, और बिहार में हर बीतते दिन के साथ उनकी पार्टी का लगभग खत्म होते जाना। तो अभी की अगर आप बात कहेंगे तो महत्वाकांक्षा के साथ साथ जो उनकी रेलिवेंसी खत्म हो रही थी, उसको वो फिर से अब वही राग अलापेंगे, फिर से वो कहेंगे कि हम सेक्युलरिज्म फोर्सेज के साथ खड़े होंगे, फिर से वो कहेंगे कि हम विपक्ष के कैंडिडेट होंगे। तो कुछ इस तरह की स्थितियां बनी जिसका नीतीश कुमार लाभ उठाना चाहते हैं। और
महत्वाकांक्षा एंड इररेलेवेंस। लेट मी आस्क यू राकेश सिन्हा जी, क्या आज का जो डेवलपमेंट है आपके लिए ब्लेसिंग है या बून है या बेन है?
You are asking me?
Yes.
You know, the political event which took place today is a daylight murder of political morality. Just 3 days ago, there was a vice presidential election, 2 days ago, vice presidential election, and JDU stood for the BJP's nominee. During the parliament session, JDU stood for the BJP. Now, what happened that Nitish Kumar has to take such a drastic action against the coalition politics. This shows that there was some kind of conspiracy against the coalition, and that conspiracy has become a deceit. Because you have abrupt decision, it is not abrupt, it is abrupt for the public, it is abrupt for the BJP. But for Nitish Kumar, he has been preparing for such moment, and he has been in negotiation with Lalu Yadav's party. Here it is a wedding between the compulsions and the greed. The RJD require the power, and this is a compulsion of Nitish Kumar because he is facing the internal contradiction inside his party. The man against whom he is speaking and making the reason for the split from the coalition politics is RCP, and RCP was a blue-eyed boy of Nitish Kumar. He promoted Nitish Kumar. So this is the internal bickering within the JDU, the factional fight within the JDU. So he is trying to mask himself from that point of view. What I want to say that if you have some grievances, you have been historically with the BJP, except certain period of the time when you were with the Lalu Yadav. In that historic period, we are fighting against the corruption, we are fighting against the Jungle Raj. You could have contacted the central leadership of the BJP. You could have presented your grievances. But nowhere BJP had given at any moment of coalition politics, any chance to Nitish Kumar that he could have complained. Where Prime Minister Modi ji has instructed and inspired the party workers to accept Nitish Kumar as the Chief Minister because this is a coalition.
So you're saying
dharma.
all of this
BJP
while
always stands for the coalition dharma. But BJP,
all of this while there was never any complaint from Nitish Kumar.
BJP cannot manage your internal affairs. I think anybody has right for the political ambition in democracy, but political ambition should not breach the electoral capacity and the support-based ability. Here Nitish Kumar is breaching both. We know the electoral capacity of the Nitish Kumar ji and ability of his party to expand. The party is shrinking. The party is sinking. The shrinking and sinking party, a leader is thinking in terms of Prime Minister. Everybody has right to think about becoming the Prime Minister.
Okay.
Anybody in the country who is a voter, he can think that he can become the Prime Minister. But the matter of fact is that Bihar is the sufferer. There is a question not only development. People are now afraid of the law and order situation.
Okay. Abhishek Jha, answer this.
The RJD and JDU.
So just a second, let me take this across to the JDU spokesperson. Abhishek Jha, your party's numbers are shrinking and sinking.
Padmaja, I am adding one.
Okay. Dr. Sinha, yes, please complete your point.
Just one sentence, ask him to answer. You know the respective support base of both the parties. I don't have any acrimony for the support base, but the respective support base of both the parties have historically shown the disharmony for each other. So opportunistic alliance does not necessarily is going to be harmonized at the ground level. That is one of the contestation against the new alliance, new wedding between the compulsion and the greed.
Okay, you will win a government, Abhishek Jha, but aren't you going to lose legitimacy?
No, it's not like that. People of Bihar know
there was a fixed conspiracy in our party. Our party was backstabbed in the last 2020 General Assembly elections. There was a Chirag model, and through that Chirag model, people intentionally tried to damage our party. Specifically, candidates were given against our candidates in that
Mr. Jha,
election.
since morning, this is the only logic I have heard. How are you waking up to a 2020 backstabbing in 2022? If somebody backstabs me right now, I react right now, not 2 years later. Stabbing is rather painful and violent.
For proper analysis, time is required, and there was a second Chirag model inside our party, which was specifically planted so as to damage our party. And continuously, there were so many incidents.
So you're saying it took you 2 years to analyze that the BJP is backstabbing you?
See, when our leader came out of the governor's house after resigning from the post of Chief Minister of the NDA supported government, he mentioned that there are so many things, and our party's senior leaders will explain about it very well with proper facts and justifications and proofs that there are so many incidents in the last 2 years or even before that specifically and intentionally they tried to damage our party. And
but in fact,
going like that,
on the contrary, let me remind you that you had much less seats than the BJP. If you remember, when the results came out, at that time there were people within the BJP who said that we should stake claim to the CM's post. The Prime Minister came and said that Nitish ji was our CM candidate and he will be our CM. How is that backstabbing? That, if anything, is staying true to your word. अगर उनको backstab करना होता, वो चुनाव में कहते कि वो मुख्यमंत्री का चेहरा है, चुनाव के बाद कहते बाय. Mr. Jha. All right. Yes, Mr. Jha.
I could not hear you. Just
How is it backstabbing when somebody stays good to their word? अगर उनको backstab करना होता, वो चुनाव से पहले कहते मुख्यमंत्री कैंडिडेट हैं, चुनाव के बाद आपको बाय बाय बोल देते. In fact, the Prime Minister stepped in to say नहीं, यही मुख्यमंत्री बनेंगे.
पद्मजा, मैंने आपको एक्सप्लेन करने की कोशिश की कि हर कोई ये कहता है कि हमारी सीटें कमाई से हमारी विश्वसनीयता या हमारे नेता की लोकप्रियता पर क्वेश्चन मार्क है, बट ऐसा नहीं है. षड्यंत्र के तहत हमारी सीटें कम करवाई गई, षड्यंत्र के तहत चिराग मॉडल को स्थापित किया गया, एंड दैट वाज द रिजल्ट कि हमारे बहुत सारे कैंडिडेट्स उनके वोट कटवा होने की वजह से हारे. दिस डज नॉट मीन कि देयर इज क्वेश्चन मार्क ऑन द पॉपुलैरिटी ऑफ द फेस ऑफ ऑनरेबल नीतीश कुमार जी. अगर ऐसा होता तो कोई भी अलायंस कभी भी उनके चेहरे पर नहीं
जीता. पर सर, बैकस्टैबिंग की बात ही किधर है? 11 नवंबर, अगर आपको बैकस्टैब किया था, 11 नवंबर को नीतीश कुमार जी ने यह ट्वीट किया, जनता मालिक है, उन्होंने एनडीए को बहुमत प्रदान किया है. एनडीए को, खुद नीतीश जी ने बोला, एनडीए को, जेडीयू को नहीं, एनडीए को बहुमत प्रदान किया है. उसके लिए जनता जनार्दन को नमन है. मैं पीएम नरेंद्र मोदी को उनसे मिल रहे सहयोग के लिए धन्यवाद करता हूं. आप बैकस्टैबिंग की बात कर रहे हैं, नीतीश जी तो धन्यवाद कर रहे थे मोदी जी का.
समय लगता है, चीजों को फिगर आउट करने में समय लगता है, समझने में समय लगता है कि हमारे साथ हो क्या रहा है, कौन हमारे साथ है, कौन हमारे साथ होने का घूम कर रहा है.
प्रोफेसर राकेश सिन्हा, समय लगा, 2 साल लगे, but JDU realized that they are being backstabbed and diminished. Professor Sinha.
You know, BJP is not responsible for the decline of the Nitish Kumar and his party. It was the Samta party, which was a very small party, and BJP was larger party, and Samta party has grown at the cost of the BJP. But we never blamed Samta party for that. So I think he has joined with the RJD. I am telling you, Padmaja, interesting thing about the RJD. Any political party who joined hand with the RJD has suffered. Communist Party of India was a big force in Bihar. It has in 70s, 80s. When it joined hand with the RJD, it has become a very trivial force in Bihar. Just take other party. Congress party joined hand with the RJD, and now you see the situation of the Congress party. It has become just a stepping in Bihar's politics. So RJD is a very dangerous because it has capacity to create a caste polarization. It has developed the efficiency in creating a caste polarization, and its sole criteria for politics is a caste polarization. As far as Nitish Kumar ji is concerned, I think that he will not get other chance to repent and regret, because this is a very suicidal decision by him. The Bharatiya Janata Party and our Prime Minister Sri Narendra Modi ji have given the highest respect to Nitish Kumar ji, and he has shown the highest stage of opportunism in Indian politics. It was exceptional case. In Indian politics, it has been exceptional case when a party which has a lesser number of MLAs is getting the chief ministerial berth due to historical alliance, due to the story of historical alliance. We respected our legacy, but he had just stabbed the legacy, his own legacy, and he has the old legacy. That stabbing has emerged over the positive legacy. I think that this sufferer is Bihar. You know, during the Agni-Veer issue, we suspected Bihar government was silent when there was anarchy in the street. The attack on the government building, burning of the government building, these were done when the center alerted the state, then they became active. So I think that such situation in Bihar, which is mother of democracy, we must follow some democratic norms.
Okay, serious charge that you are making there, Professor Sinha, almost insinuating that perhaps the JDU may have tacitly allowed the anti-Agniveer violence in Bihar. Let me take your point across to Shubhransh Rai. You have acted in haste, you will repent in leisure. Nitish ji at least will. 2024 mein he may just have signed the death warrant of his party. Shubhransh Rai.
देखिए पद्मजा, अगर भारतीय जनता पार्टी का कोई नेता और खासकर रविशंकर प्रसाद जैसे लोग अगर ना मैंडेट और जनमत की बात करते हैं ना, तो बड़ी हंसी आती है। मध्य प्रदेश के चुनाव में मध्य प्रदेश के लोगों ने कांग्रेस को जनमत दिया था, लेकिन ये चोर डकैत भाजपाइयों ने रातों रात चोरी करके, डकैती डाल के, पैसे के बल पे खरीद के सत्ता अपना बनाया। मध्य प्रदेश से शुरू करिए और उत्तर पूर्व तक आप चले जाइए, आपको इनकी डकैती का इतिहास छोटा दिखने लगेगा, इनके कारनामे इतने बड़े हैं। नंबर 1 तो इनके मुंह से तो ये मैंडेट शब्द बिल्कुल अच्छा नहीं लगता।
तो यानी कि आप कह रहे हैं कि बीजेपी डकैती करती है, वैसे इस बार आरजेडी ने डकैती की है, तो इक्वल अपॉर्चुनिटी डकैत है सब लोग।
मैडम प्लीज 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 प्लीज, आप एक मैडम प्लीज, आपके जो स्क्रीन के पीछे ये सब जो वर्ड लिखे आ रहे हैं, मैं उस पर नहीं डिस्कस करना चाहता हूं, हम प्रैक्टिकल बात करते हैं। आज का दिन बड़ा ऐतिहासिक है, 9 अगस्त। आज से ठीक 80 साल पहले ना भारतीय राष्ट्रीय कांग्रेस और इस देश के लोग, शोषित लोग जो अंग्रेजों से तंग थे, उन्होंने भारत छोड़ो आंदोलन किया था और गोरे अंग्रेजों को भगाया था। वो कहानी शुरू हुई थी महाराष्ट्र से। आज है 9 अगस्त 2022। उन गोरे अंग्रेजों के जो अनुयायी काले अंग्रेज हैं ना, इनको भगाने का कार्यक्रम बिहार से शुरू हुआ, क्योंकि अभी जुम्मा 1.5 महीने पहले जिन्होंने डकैती महाराष्ट्र में करी है। अब चोर और डकैत को यह पता होना चाहिए कि हर बार डकैती नहीं पास होती है।
अभी आपको बीजेपी डकैत दिख रही है और नीतीश जी चाचा दिख रहे हैं। महंगाई, आपको शायद याद होगा कि 2020 में नीतीश कुमार को खुद तेजस्वी जी ने बोला था कि वो अब थक गए हैं।
जी मुझे सब याद,
वो थक गए हैं।
एक मिनट।
एंड ये उन्होंने तब बोला था जब नीतीश जी ने ऐसा कमेंट किया था जो कि यूजुअली सिविलाइज सोसाइटी में नहीं किया जाता, कि जो लोग 8-9 बच्चे पैदा करते हैं उनको क्या ही पता कि सत्ता कैसे चलानी है। बट इस बात का जवाब दीजिए, एक सेकंड, इस बात का जवाब दीजिए हर्षवर्धन जी, कि एक तरीके से दिस कैन बी सीन एज अ रिवेंज फॉर महाराष्ट्र। क्या आयरनी है, आज सुबह शिवसेना को खत्म करके ऑलमोस्ट एक सेना बीजेपी सरकार बनाई गई और यहां पे बीजेपी की सरकार नीतीश जी के साथ गिर गई। तो कई लोग कह रहे हैं पोएटिक जस्टिस है।
देखिए पंजा, सबसे पहले तो मैं ये कहूंगा कि कोई भी राजनीतिक दल अगर आज नैतिकता और शुचिता की बात करता है तो ये बड़ा शर्मनाक है। और कांग्रेस पार्टी हो सकता है खुश हो जाए, क्योंकि महाराष्ट्र में भी वो जिसको कहते हैं कि कहीं थी नहीं, वो तीसरे नंबर की पार्टनर जरूर थी, कहीं थी नहीं। नाना पटोले बेचारे उनके अध्यक्ष थे, वो लगातार ये कहते रहे कि हमें कोई महत्व नहीं मिलता, हमारी कोई बात नहीं सुनता, लेकिन वहां सरकार गिर गई। शायद यही वजह है कि सोनिया गांधी जी ने, इसके बावजूद कि नीतीश कुमार ने कोई कसर नहीं छोड़ी थी, इसके बावजूद उनको आज ये कहा कि ठीक है हम आपकी सरकार बनवाते हैं। लेकिन यहां दूसरा एक मसला है पद्मजा, बिहार की जनता के साथ ये जो धोखेबाजी हो रही है, पार्टियों के बीच की छोड़ दीजिए, उसका कोई मतलब नहीं है। उस नैतिकता, उस शुचिता का बात करने का अधिकार किसी राजनीतिक दल को नहीं है। अभी कितने दिन हुए हैं ये सब हुए, लेकिन बिहार की जनता के साथ ये धोखेबाजी जो हो रही है, जिस तरह से नीतीश कुमार अपनी निजी महत्वाकांक्षा के लिए बिहार के हितों की बलि चढ़ा रहे हैं, इस पर बात होनी चाहिए। मुझे लगता है कि आप बार बार ये कहेंगे, और मैंने पहले भी आपकी भी बहस में कहा है, दूसरी डिबेट में भी कहता हूं कि समय आ गया है कि राजनीतिक सुधार में एक बात तो तुरंत जोड़ी जाए कि अगर कोई गठजोड़ करके सत्ता में आता है और दोबारा पार्टी कहीं और जाती है तो उसके विधायकों को चुनाव लड़ना जरूरी हो जाए। इसके बिना सरकार नहीं बननी चाहिए, चाहे वो देश के जिस हिस्से में हो। इस राजनीतिक सुधार की तुरंत आवश्यकता है।
और जो बिहार के लोगों के साथ यहां पर धोखा हुआ है अभिषेक झा, हाउ विल यू गो बैक टू द पीपल एंड आंसर दैट? नाउ लेट मी कोट टू यू इन फैक्ट इन सितंबर 2020, ये आंकड़े मैं नहीं दे रही हूं, आप ही के नेता नीतीश जी ने दिए थे। उन्होंने एक कंपैरिजन किया, उनके ऊपर अटैक हो रहा था जॉब्स को लेकर के। उन्होंने एक फर्स्ट वर्चुअल रैली की थी इन द रन अप टू द असेंबली इलेक्शंस और खुद उन्होंने कहा कि 15 साल का लालू प्रसाद का जंगल राज था, उस वक्त ओनली 95,734 जॉब्स वर ऑफर्ड इन द 15-year रूल ऑफ लालू प्रसाद एंड राबड़ी देवी। एज कंपेयर्ड टू दैट माय गवर्नमेंट हैज गिवन जॉब्स टू 6 लाख पीपल। नीतीश कुमार ने खुद ये आंकड़े दिए कि हमने 6 लाख नौकरियां दी, लालू यादव और राबड़ी देवी महज 95,000 नौकरियां दे पाए 15 साल में। आज वो लोग ठीक हो गए, बीजेपी जंगल राज हो गई और तेजस्वी यादव एक्सेप्टेबल हो गए।
आंकड़े तो सच बोलते हैं। आंकड़े अगर दिए गए कि इतना काम किया गया 15 वर्षों में, तो यह तो सच है। और ये सच है इस वजह से बिहार की राजनीति का इतिहास गवाह है कि नीतीश कुमार जी ने जब भी जिस भी गठबंधन का नेतृत्व किया है, जनता ने अपना मैंडेट उस गठबंधन को ही दिया है। तो जनता के पास जाने की चिंता हमें नहीं है।
नहीं, तो गठबंधन तो एनडीए को मिला है ना। तो आप मान रहे हैं कि एक फेलियर पार्टी के साथ आप वापस गठबंधन करने जा रहे हैं, एक पार्टी जिसको आपने खुद ने कहा 15 साल उन्होंने बिहार को डुबो दिया अंधकार में, अब वापस उनके पास जाके चले गए आप।
अभी का सिचुएशन ये है दैट नीतीश कुमार जी हैज सपोर्ट ऑफ अराउंड 165 MLAs, which clearly indicates that the majority is with him.
That is, you're absolutely right. You have the numbers, but do you have the credibility? Do you have the credibility and do you have the mandate?
Nitish Kumar's face has that credibility, na? और ये proof fact है.
Since you speak about his face having credibility, let me show you what he said in 2014, soon after he had parted ways with the BJP. उन्होंने कहा था मैं मिट्टी में मिल जाऊंगा, दोबारा बीजेपी के पास नहीं जाऊंगा। और देखिए, within a few years he was back. You say his face has credibility. Let's play out Nitish Babu's own words and think about whether people see credibility in it. Listen.
इसके बाद किसी भी परिस्थिति में लौट कर जाने का प्रश्न नहीं पैदा होता। हम रहे या मिट्टी में मिल जाए, रहे या मिट्टी में मिल जाए, आप लोगों के साथ अब कोई समझौता भविष्य में नहीं होगा। संभव, अब ये संभव ही नहीं है, नामुमकिन। अब वो चैप्टर खत्म हो चुका, क्योंकि भरोसे को आप लोगों ने तोड़ा।
राकेश सिन्हा जी, एटलीस्ट नीतीश कुमार हैज शोन कि असंभव कुछ भी नहीं है। उन्होंने असेंबली में बोला, उन्होंने पार्लियामेंट में बोला कि असंभव है, पर उन्होंने पिछले 10 साल में दिखा दिया दैट इम्पॉसिबल इज नथिंग।
You know, the index of unlearning and forgetfulness is very high in Nitish Kumar's life. He takes vows, he declares something, and tomorrow he reverses that. I think he is one of those politicians whom I consider that who has some understanding of Indian politics and liberal democracy, but he is doing reversal of the liberal democracy. He is taking advantage of the party which has given all kind of respect and shelter to Nitish Kumar. I say it was a shelter to Nitish Kumar. He has been largely increasingly becoming the marginal force in Bihar's politics, but high ambition of becoming prime minister. He failed to manage his own political party. You know, when George Fernandez was marginalized and insulted, everybody felt sad. Because George Fernandez was not a common leader. He was one of the person who led the railway strike, historic railway strike against Indira Gandhi's totalitarian regime and anti-people regime. He was one of the person who led the fight during the emergency. BJP has always respected George Fernandez, despite political differences. And George Fernandez reciprocated it. So I think that such kind of lessons people of Bihar have to learn. Bihar is one of the states where Madhulime from Mumbai got elected in Banka seat, Lok Sabha. J.B. Kripalani from Sindh got elected from Munger state. George Fernandez from Karnataka got elected from Muzaffarpur. Ashok Mehta from Gujarat got elected from Muzaffarpur. So this kind of spectrum, Bihar's politics and democracy, we think now Bihar has to rise above the caste line, communal line. And one last question: 700 schools are mandatory on Friday leave. There is one constitution, liberal democracy. We are run by the constitution. There is a constitutional government and society. And here certain schools are giving leave on a particular day, government schools. Whose mandate is that? Okay. If every religion would start dictating and deciding its own vacations on the basis of the religion, the country cannot be run on the secular democratic line.
Well, now you're going to be in the opposition, Professor Sinha. Maybe that is a good opportunity, a blessing in disguise for you to be raising all of these issues, because that rule, as a matter of fact, has been in practice for a very long time. A savvy, dyed-in-wool, hardcore politician, yet taking a decision which has left many wondering why. Thanks very much, gentlemen, for having joined us. Full day tomorrow beginning in the morning, the swearing in of the new Nitish Tejaswi cabinet. Stay tuned to Times Now.
The News Hour at 10 will be right back after the break. News Hour at 10. The News Hour at 10 will be right back after the break.
The most pressing issue, the most informed minds, free and fair exchange. Converse India with Rahul Shivshankar.
3-4 ತಲೆಮಾರುಗಳಿಗೆ ಆಗುವಷ್ಟನ್ನು ನಾವು ಮಾಡಿಕೊಟ್ಟಿದ್ದೇವೆ ನೆಹರು, ಇಂದಿರಾ ಗಾಂಧಿ, ಸೋನಿಯಾ ಗಾಂಧಿ ಹೆಸರಲ್ಲಿ. ಕಾಂಗ್ರೆಸ್ ಅನ್ನು ಬಲಗೊಳಿಸಬೇಕು, ಸೋನಿಯಾ ಗಾಂಧಿ ಅವರಿಗೆ ಶಕ್ತಿ ತುಂಬಬೇಕು, ನೈತಿಕವಾಗಿ ಅವರಿಗೆ ಒಂದು ಸಮಾಧಾನ ಇವತ್ತು ಆಗಬೇಕು. ನನಗೆ ಒಂದು ಸಮನ್ಸ್ ಕೊಟ್ಟಿದ್ದಕ್ಕೆ ಕಾಂಗ್ರೆಸ್ನ ಕಾರ್ಯಕರ್ತರು ದೇಶಾದ್ಯಂತ ನನ್ನ ಜೊತೆಗೆ ನಿಂತಿದ್ದಾರೆ. ನನ್ನ ಗಂಡನ ಪ್ರಾಣ ಕಳ್ಕೊಂಡಿದ್ದಕ್ಕೆ, ನನ್ನ ಮಗನ ಕಷ್ಟಕ್ಕೆ, ನಮ್ಮ ಅತ್ತೆಯ ಕಷ್ಟಕ್ಕೆ, ನೆಹರು ಮಾಡಿದ ಕಷ್ಟಕ್ಕೆ ಈ ದೇಶದ ಜನ ನಮ್ಮ ಋಣ ತೀರಿಸಿಕೊಳ್ತಾ ಇದ್ದಾರೆ ಅಂತಕ್ಕಂಥ ಒಂದು ಸಮಾಧಾನ ಇವತ್ತು ಸೋನಿಯಾ ಗಾಂಧಿ ಅವರಿಗೆ ಆದ್ರೆ ನಾವೆಲ್ಲರೂ ತಿಂತಕ್ಕಂಥ 2 ಹೊತ್ತಿನ ಊಟ ಸಾರ್ಥಕ ಆಗುತ್ತೆ. 3-4 ತಲೆಮಾರುಗಳಿಗೆ ಆಗುವಷ್ಟನ್ನು ನಾವು ಮಾಡಿಕೊಟ್ಟಿದ್ದೇವೆ ನೆಹರು, ಇಂದಿರಾ ಗಾಂಧಿ, ಸೋನಿಯಾ ಗಾಂಧಿ ಹೆಸರಲ್ಲಿ. ಈ ಕಿಂಚತ್ತು ತ್ಯಾಗಕ್ಕೆ ನಾವು ತಯಾರಾಗದೆ ಹೋದ್ರೆ ನಾವು ಇನ್ನು ಮುಂದಕ್ಕೆ ತಿಂತಕ್ಕಂಥ ಅನ್ನದಲ್ಲಿ ಹುಳು ಬೀಳುತ್ತೆ.
He has openly confessed, he has openly admitted. In fact, taking this cognizance, I think our agencies should book a case, should really book a case.
Watching the News Hour at 10.
The fact of the matter is, whether it is imported inflation, whether it is tinkering of GST for a longer period, the fact is that the burden is on the common man, and the common man frankly doesn't really care about what's happening in the United States or the UK or Russia or Ukraine. They're worried about their day-to-day living and per capita incomes where they are in India. The pressure is as much, magnified on common people in this country than they are abroad. And of course, you have social security systems which exist abroad, which don't exist in India. So I come back to asking you the same question. Is the government really being rather hard-hearted when it looks at these issues? After all, running a country of the kind that India is, with poor middle classes, lower middle classes forming the bulk of the population, do you think the government is doing enough to cushion the impact on these classes of people?
So let me say that as a policy maker, one has to make various trade-offs. So First of all, let me be clear that the government is fully cognizant of the spike in inflation. Otherwise, you wouldn't have seen the measures we have taken, including the Reserve Bank tightening monetary policy. So clearly, the tightening of monetary policy is one response to bringing down inflation. But do remember that this is a trade-off, because if you do tighten monetary policy too fast, too quickly, yes, it will bring down inflation, but then it will slow down growth, it will slow down incomes, and so on and so forth. So there is a balancing act that has to be done. Ultimately, what do we want to do? We want to increase as far as possible the trajectory of welfare and real incomes. And in that context, we have to trade off between growth and inflation. So the trade-off that we are making right now is, rather than tighten so harsh that growth slows down, we are tightening somewhat, but not so much that growth slows down too much. So keeping GDP growth going, create jobs, which is an important question, which I hope we will come to later on. These are issues that are also foremost in our mind. So given this balance we have done, I think the Reserve Bank's response is the correct one for this point in time.
Well, Sanjeev Sanyal, you know, governments are not necessarily only policy makers. They are also political entities, and you understand politics as much as anybody else. I want to ask you a simple, straightforward question that is... No. I cannot answer any questions on politics. I'm a policy maker. So if there are political questions, I'm afraid I will simply not be in a position to answer them. Well, you know, that disclaimer taken on board, but I'm still asking you the question that when policy makers within the government do not have enough measures that solve problems of the common people of India, they end up being called insensitive and arrogant because they're winning elections anyway. They don't really need to bother about the common man. That is the question that often comes up. How do you think the government can respond to that?
As I said right in the beginning, I'm not a politician, and winning or not winning elections is a concern of the political leadership. I can tell you the key here is that as a policy maker, I need to maintain macroeconomic stability in an environment where clearly there are serious threats to the rest of the world. You've already seen neighboring countries like Sri Lanka going into vicious cycles on their macroeconomic management. We are seeing serious issues with inflation in Europe, in US. These are turbulent times. So for me, very important that in these turbulent times, I keep a steady ship. Yes, I have to make sure that inflation doesn't spiral up. That is certainly a concern. It is a concern to the average man, and it is a concern to me personally as well. I mean, I buy the same vegetables and fuel you do. At the same time, do remember that I have to also make sure that growth keeps going, because we are, after all, recovering out of 2 years of very difficult COVID pandemic related disruptions. And so in a situation where the growth is finally doing reasonably well, I do not want to create extra hurdles than what is absolutely necessary. So a balancing act has to be done. I think the Reserve Bank and the Ministry of Finance are doing a fine job so far, and I wouldn't get too thrown off by political rhetoric or by advice from international experts who have clearly not been able to predict how these things were going to pan out.
Over Delhi excise policy intensifies. Ex-Delhi LG Anil Bajal says that Deputy Chief Minister Manish Sisodia is trying to find an alibi for his colleagues' act of omission and commission. The Aam Aadmi Party has filed an application in the Supreme Court opposing the PIL against political parties promising to distribute freebies during election campaigns. TMC Birbhum District President Anubrata Mandal summoned by CBI again in connection with the cattle smuggling case. Congress star campaigner Mirchi Baba has been arrested on rape charges. He was arrested in a joint action of Bhopal Police and Gwalior Crime Branch.
evening, hello and welcome. You're tuned in to Times Now. This is News Now Overnight and I'm Poonam Burde. There's lots lined up for you over the next 1 hour, but let's get you started with the biggest story of the day and the headlines that dominated. Nitish Kumar quits as Bihar Chief Minister, breaks away from the NDA to take oath as Chief Minister for the 8th time tomorrow. Tejas Yadav likely to get Deputy CM's post, seeks Speaker's post for the party as well. Vetoes Nitish's proposal for a Congress Deputy CM. Celebration RJD camp, upbeat RJD first family tweets video announcing the return of the Lantern clan in the state. JDU claims BJP tried to weaken the party, used them for 2019 elections. BJP hits back, says Nitish's decision betrays people's mandate. Noida goon Neta nabbed within hours of deadline to surrender before court. Cops claim SP Neta provided the goon with an MLA sticker for his car.
जी बताइए जी
श्रीकांत कुछ कहना है
जी बताइए
Times Now confronts Shrikant Tyagi. He says he regrets it. Political fight erupts between SP and BJP over whose patronage emboldened him. Sanjay Rathod and Abdul Sattar's inclusion in Maharashtra cabinet triggers uproar. Alleged taint invoked. Rivals question the BJP. Sudden spike in COVID-19 cases in the national capital triggers an alarm. 2,495 new cases and 7 deaths in the last 24 hours. Positivity rate rises to 15.4%. The biggest story of the day and in the last 24 hours, in fact, are the ups and downs that we've seen politically in the state of Bihar. Bihar is waiting for a new government. Chief Minister Nitish Kumar is going to take oath tomorrow for an 8th time as the Chief Minister at 4 o'clock after he resigned this afternoon and officially announced his separation from the NDA alliance. Ties broken with the BJP to go back to the other former allies, the RJD and the Congress. For a second time in 8 years, Sushasan Babu, as he's been called, dumped the Saffron Party. A deal sealed at Rabri Devi's residence this evening, and the third largest party in the state still gets to keep the Chief Minister's chair. Listen in to what the foes turned friends had to say.
सात पार्टियां एक साथ आप समझ लीजिए कि लोकसभा में 164 और इसके अलावा एक इंडिपेंडेंट हम लोग के साथ 7 पार्टी और एक अकेला इंडिपेंडेंट और हम लोग जो उधर थे उनसे हम लोगों ने रास्ता आज समाप्त कर दिया। हम लोग एक साथ मिल करके 7 पार्टियों में जो हम लोगों का महागठबंधन है, हम मिल करके आगे काम करेंगे, सेवा करेंगे।
और ये तो इतिहास बताता है कि भाजपा जहां रहती है, जिसके साथ रहती है, उसको खत्म करने में लगी रहती है। लेकिन जो देश में जो अराजकता का जो माहौल बन रहा है, जो सांप्रदायिकता जिस प्रकार से फल फूल रही है, जिस प्रकार से सामाजिक न्याय पे हमला हो रहा है, उसको देखते हुए, देश के माहौल को, स्थिति को देखते हुए, आप बीजेपी का तो एक ही काम है, डराओ, जो डरता है उसको डराओ और जो बिकता है उसको खरीदो। पूरे देश में क्या हो रहा है आपको नहीं पता।
Now, one of the many reasons why Nitish Kumar decided to part ways with the BJP is his own personal ambition. He is the most competent politician to lead the country, said his party today. Many within the opposition, including Tejas Yadav, echoed that sentiment of Nitish's competence, projecting him as the 2024 prime ministerial contender against Prime Minister Modi. If there's consensus on Nitish Kumar within the opposition, then why not, they said. Listen in.
आज की तारीख में एनडीए में प्रधानमंत्री हैं नरेंद्र मोदी जी, लेकिन व्यक्तित्व के रूप में या एक पर्सनालिटी जो देश भर के स्तर पे देखा जा रहा है, उसके आधार पे यदि आकलन किया जाए तो नीतीश कुमार जी प्रधानमंत्री बनने के हर तरह से योग्य हैं। अब उस व्यक्ति के बारे में यह कहना ठीक है कि राजनीतिक परिस्थिति के हिसाब से चीजें होती हैं। आज हम कोई दावेदारी नहीं कर रहे हैं, लेकिन नीतीश कुमार जी प्रधानमंत्री बनने की हर तरह की योग्यता रखते हैं।
नहीं, मैं मानता हूं कि वो काबिल आदमी है, तो यदि सारे अपोजिशन के सहमति से वो बनते हैं तो सबसे काबिल आदमी है वो। तो लोग मांग कर रहे हैं, कोई गलत नहीं कर रहे हैं।
ये अच्छी शुरुआत है। आज के दिन जब अंग्रेजों के खिलाफ नारा दिया था भारत छोड़ो, अगर बिहार से ये नारा आया कि भारतीय जनता पार्टी भगाओ, मुझे लगता है कि और प्रदेशों में भी इसी तरीके से बहुत जल्दी भारतीय जनता पार्टी के खिलाफ पॉलिटिकल पार्टीज भी खड़ी होंगी और जनता भी खड़ी होगी। बहुत एक्सपीरियंस नेता हैं, उनके बारे में क्या कहना, वो बिहार और बिहार के गणित को बेहतर समझते हैं। ये उनके अपने फैसले हैं, गठबंधन में क्या तय होता है, क्योंकि गठबंधन जब बनता है तो बहुत सी चीजों पर मिलजुल करके फैसला लेते हैं।
Now, can Nitish Kumar be the fulcrum of the anti-Modi bloc that he hopes to be in 2024? Well, electorally, if you see his track record in the general elections in 2014 and then in the assembly polls in 2016 and 2020, JDU's vote percent has been oscillating between 15 and 70%. His strike rate has also come down drastically from 2005 to then 2020. The BJP was quick to remind Nitish Kumar of just that he owes his position as the chief minister to the BJP, especially to Prime Minister Modi. An opportunist doing what he does best is how the BJP responded as power slipped out of their hands in the state. Listen it.
2020 के चुनाव में एनडीए गठबंधन के तहत हम सबों ने चुनाव लड़ा था और जो मेजॉरिटी और मैंडेट था वह एनडीए में भाजपा और जनता दल यूनाइटेड को जनता ने मैंडेट दिया था। हम 74 सीट जीतने में कामयाब हुए थे। उसके बावजूद भी माननीय प्रधानमंत्री जी ने और माननीय गृह मंत्री जी ने जो वादा किया था, हमने उस वादे का पूर्णतः पालन किया और माननीय नीतीश कुमार जी इस एनडीए गठबंधन के मुख्यमंत्री बने। और जो कुछ भी आज हुआ है वह न केवल भाजपा बल्कि बिहार की सारी जनता के साथ धोखा है और बिहार की जनता इसको कतई बर्दाश्त नहीं करेगी।
वो जस्टिफाई करेंगे ये हमारे समझ में नहीं आती है बात। ये ऐसे पार्टी के साथ जाना जिसको कि इन्होंने कई बार कहा कि भ्रष्टाचार का पर्याय है, ये जिसको कई बार इन्होंने कहा कि ये साहब बिहार को डुबा दिया, ये इस पार्टी ने पुनः पहले उस पार्टी में गए, उसको छोड़ करके आए, हम लोग फिर जा रहे हैं वापस।
माननीय नीतीश कुमार जी संपूर्ण जीवन कांग्रेस पार्टी के खिलाफ लड़ते रहे और आज फिर कांग्रेस के साथ जुड़ गए। यह कतई उचित नहीं है। बिहार की जनता ने जो मैंडेट दिया था 2020 में, उस मैंडेट के साथ धोखा हुआ है। यह एक नैतिक लड़ाई है। इस नैतिक लड़ाई को भारतीय जनता पार्टी बिहार की जनता के साथ मिलकर लड़ेगी।
Now, Nitish Kumar has been called a Paltu Ram, a snake in the past. Guess by whom? The same leaders who he is in alliance with today. Lalu Prasad Yadav and Tejasvi Yadav have often spoken of Bihar suffering under Nitish Kumar. Now remember, in 2015, Nitish led Mahagathbandhan with the RJD and the Congress had won the state election, but he quit just 2 years later, citing corruption allegations against the Lalu Prasad family. All allegations, all those barbs conveniently forgotten for political convenience. But let me refresh the memory of not just the JDU and the RJD, but of our viewers as well. Listen in to the kind of barbs that were made by the RJD in the last couple of years against Nitish Kumar.
इनका मतलब 4 बार आत्मा जो है अंतरात्मा सोया और जागा। कौन सा अंतरात्मा? इनको सिर्फ और सिर्फ कुर्सी प्रेम है। इनको बिहार के विकास की चिंता नहीं है।
न जाने भारत के राजनीतिक इतिहास में कितना बारी पलटी इन्होंने मारा है। इनको पलटू राम ही कहिए। राजनीति के ये पलटू राम है।
Now, embracing Lalu is not just embarrassing for Nitish, but also puts a question mark on his credibility, because in 2020, Nitish was warning the public of Bihar not to vote for the RJD because the Yadav party would take Bihar back to the days of the Jungle Raj, he said. Listen in to Nitish Kumar's rants back then against the RJD, this very same party that he is tying up with now and is going to induct into his government tomorrow.
हमने अपने अंतरात्मा की आवाज पर पूरी चीज को देखते हुए हमने समझा कि अब मेरे जैसे व्यक्ति के लिए इस सरकार का चलाना संभव नहीं है।
15वां साल हम लोग काम कर रहे हैं। बिहार का क्या बुरा हाल था, अपराध की कितनी घटनाएं घटती थी, सामूहिक नरसंहार, लोग किस तरह से परेशान रहते थे, शाम होने के बाद कोई घर से निकलने की हिम्मत नहीं करता था, यह हाल था। अपहरण कितने लोगों का होता था, जरा बताइए। आजकल तो कुछ भी बोल देता है, पति पत्नी का 15 साल राज, अब बाल बच्चा को मौका मिल रहा है, जो भी बोल रहे हैं वो तो अंदर हैं, अब कोई रोकेगा जी सबको कभी अंदर जाने से? अंदर तो जाना ही है, इन लोगों का काम ही इस तरह का होता है।
Now, Nitish Kumar is going to take oath for the 8th time as the Chief Minister tomorrow. He is the Chief Minister of State despite the JDU being the 3rd largest party in the state. So how did he manage those numbers? Take a look.
Another bit of breaking news coming in as we also take you through the number game, and that's extremely interesting because this is what the current assembly strength looks like. As far as the NDA is concerned, they have 127 MLAs. The BJP within the NDA constitutes 77, JDU has 45 and others have 5. As far as the Gathbandhan is concerned, if we talk about the current assembly, RJD has 80 MLAs, remember the single largest party of course after the Bihar assembly elections in 2020. The Congress has 19. The Congress really, even if it doesn't come out in support of the RJD and JDU, will not really impact the new Gathbandhan. So that's the current assembly, with the left having 16 MLAs by its side. If we talk about what the possible scenario could play out to be if the collapse takes place in the coming few hours, this is where it will stand. The NDA will drop to 82 from 127. It will go down to 82. The BJP's strength remains at 77, others at 5. But the JDU is now with the Mahagathbandhan along with the RJD, the Congress and the left. So clearly a 160 mark that the Mahagathbandhan will safely be able to reach. 160 way above the current NDA strength, which is at 127. So it's going to be a majority government that's going to come in, and the numbers clearly stacked for the Mahagathbandhan. That's what the number game looks like.
Now, when Nitish Kumar quit this afternoon, he said, not only am I quitting, but I urge all the other allies of the BJP too to walk out of the NDA alliance. Times Now spoke to RLJP chief and a union minister, Pashupati Paras. Listen in to what he had to say.
आपको लगता है कि अब ये सरकार लंबी चलेगी? नीतीश जी कह रहे हैं कि सैद्धांतिक तौर पर बीजेपी को छोड़ दिया, अब चाचा भतीजा की सरकार चलेगी पूरे टर्म तक।
आप एक बात जान लीजिए, देश की पुकार है, एनडीए गठबंधन की सरकार है, देश की पुकार है, नरेंद्र मोदी की सरकार है। नरेंद्र मोदी जी देश के सर्वमान्य नेता हैं, देश के प्राइम मिनिस्टर हैं, और देश और विदेश में आज़ादी के बाद पहला ऐसा व्यक्ति मिला है जो 1 अरब 35 करोड़ आबादी का नेतृत्व करने वाला व्यक्ति नरेंद्र मोदी जी हो, जिनके कार्यकलाप से पूरा देश खुश है। बिहार एक स्टेट है, केंद्र और बिहार की सरकार जब थी, एक सरकार थी, एक गठबंधन की सरकार थी, तो बिहार में काफ़ी विकास हुआ। देखिए, काफ़ी मेडिकल कॉलेज खुला, इंजीनियरिंग कॉलेज खुला, काफ़ी बड़ा NH का निर्माण हुआ, गंगा नदी पर पुल बना, कोसी नदी पर पुल बना, काफ़ी संख्या में PMCH का निर्माण हुआ। इस ढंग से बिहार का काफ़ी विकास हुआ था, जिसके चलते नीतीश कुमार जी का नाम भी बिहार में हुआ था। लेकिन आज वो सब धरा का धरा रह गया, और नीतीश कुमार जी का जो ये डिसीजन है, मेरे हिसाब से ये डिसीजन बिहार के हित के लिए नहीं है।
Now, power slipped out of the BJP's hands when Nitish Kumar decided to walk out of the NDA alliance and instead join ranks with the RJD and the Congress to form government. Times Now's executive editor Padmaja Joshi spoke exclusively to former Union Minister Shivshankar, a leader who hails from Bihar, who was rushed from the national capital to Patna today to take a look at the crisis, to chalk out the future strategy of the BJP. Listen in to what he had to remind Nitish Kumar of.
Ravishankar ji, why do you think Nitish Kumar has walked out today? What in your mind is the one reason? Ravishankar ji, what do you think is the one reason that Nitish ji has broken the alliance with you?
Well, you don't ask me this question, ask him. In 2020, his party got 45-46 seats or 47 seats. BJP has nearly doubled. Nitish ji ensured, Narendra Modi ji ensured he becomes the chief minister again. We won Bihar because of the campaign by Narendra Modi ji. His appeal has diminished. In 2019, he won the Lok Sabha, good number, his party along with us, happy because of campaign by Narendra Modi ji. तो नरेंद्र मोदी जी के नाम पर आप जीतेंगे और 2 साल में छोड़ देंगे. This is a downright insult of the mandate of the people of Bihar. Apart from regressing Bihar again into lawlessness, corruption and cough, which is a byword along with RJD, you all know it very well. Therefore, again I am asking this question. You were bitterly opposed to Narendra Modi ji. You asked in 2017 questions because Mr. Tejasvi was not able to explain the repeated insinuations and serious allegations of corruption in Bharti into railways. You know it very well. Land for appointment, hotel sale of railways in Ranchi, and mall construction. He refused to reply. You walked out. Good. Again today you are going. Therefore you refuse to accept the mandate, take political benefit out of the leadership of Narendra Modi ji in Lok Sabha and Vidhan Sabha again. Is it fair? In 2005 the BJP made him the leader, as I said in my press conference.
Some stories in brief now. Controversy over excise duty in Delhi intensifies. Ex-LG Anil Baijal says Deputy Chief Minister Manish Sisodia is trying to find an alibi for his colleagues and him, acts of omission and commission. Aam Aadmi Party has filed an application in the Supreme Court opposing the PIL against political parties promising to distribute freebies during election campaigns. TMC's Birbhum District President Anubhav Mandal was summoned by the CBI again in connection with the cattle smuggling case. He had earlier skipped summons due to health reasons. Congress star campaigner Mirchi Baba was arrested for alleged rape. Joint action of Bhopal Police and Gwalior Crime Branch resulted in the arrest from a hotel in Gwalior. After the arrest, police took Mirchi from Gwalior to Bhopal. TMC MLA Idris Ali's house in West Bengal's Murshidabad district was vandalized by his party's workers. They accused him of taking money for allotting posts in its local organization. While the BJP has been defending Enforcement Directorate's crackdown on the Gandhis and on sacked West Bengal Cabinet Minister Partha Chatterjee and his close aide as due process of law and questioned the political patronage for these tainted politicians, the party's decision to induct 2 ministers with alleged taint in Maharashtra has now led to raised eyebrows and wagging of tongues. Both these ministers are from CM Shinde's camp. One of them is Sanjay Rathod, accused of abetting TikTok star Pooja Chavan's suicide in 2021. There were allegations that his relationship with a woman went sour, leading to her death by suicide. Eventually, the case was dropped against him and a virtual clean sheet was given by the police after the victim's family decided to withdraw the complaint. Now, Maharashtra Deputy Chief Minister Devendra Fadnavis and the then leader of opposition himself had led the charge against Rathod, forcing his resignation when he was part of the Uddhav government. However, after getting that clean sheet from the police, Rathod claimed vindication, alleging that he was made a scapegoat by the then BJP, the same BJP that he is now in alliance with. When Times Now confronted him on those allegations, he evaded our questions.
संजय राठौड़ जी आपको मंत्री पद दिया गया सरकार अभिनंदन संजय भाऊ Sanjay Rathod clearly avoids to answer any of the questions.
Now, the other alleged tainted figure is Abdul Sattar, who has been linked to the scam in the teachers' eligibility test between 2019 and 20, where 7,880 candidates were disqualified and banned in connection with alleged rigging. When the scam took place, Abdul Sattar was the education minister of the state, and names of his 3 daughters and a son had appeared in this particular list. It was then revealed that thousands of TET candidates got their marks inflated, and some even got fake certificates in lieu of cash to ensure that they landed the job.
आज एकनाथ शिंदे और देवेंद्र फडणवीस के मंत्री मंडल का विस्तार हुआ और उस मंत्रिमंडल में जो मंत्री का नाम आया अब्दुल सत्तार, उसके दोनों लड़की, उनकी लड़की उस टीटी स्कैम के लाभार्थी बन चुके और ऐसे भ्रष्टाचारी आदमी को और टीटी स्कैम में जिनका डायरेक्ट इनडायरेक्टली जो जिनका सहयोग है, ऐसे अब्दुल सत्तार को फिर एक बार मंत्री पद पर शपथ लेकर उसको मंत्री बनाया। तो इस शिंदे और देवेंद्र फडणवीस का सरकार यानी भ्रष्टाचारी लोगों को संरक्षण देने वाले सरकार, ऐसा मुझे आरोप है।
अपोजिशन क्या बोलता है उससे ज्यादा सच्चाई ये है कि हमारे जो एजुकेशन डिपार्टमेंट ने सारी मालूमात दी, उसके अंदर कोई सत्य नहीं, कोई तथ्य नहीं, और जो चीज गलत है, अभी मेरा एक लड़का है, इसका नाम आया, इसने परीक्षा दिया ही नहीं, कभी परीक्षा में बैठा ही नहीं, इसको भी पास किया गया। ये बनावट कागज पत्र जिन्होंने तैयार किया उनके ऊपर कड़क कार्रवाई की।
Now, the taint or the alleged taint on these ministers does not seem to matter much to the new government in the state, the Shinde-Fadnavis government. Maharashtra Chief Minister and his deputy defended the decision to include Rathod, claiming that he has been given a clean chit by the Mumbai police.
देखिए, संजय राठौड़ उनको पिछली सरकार से क्लीन चिट दी, इसलिए उनका समावेश इसके उपरांत किसी का कुछ कहना हो, किसी का कुछ समझना या सजेशन,
ज्या पक्षाचे 2 मंत्री भ्रष्टाचाराच्या आरोपाखाली जेलमध्ये असतील आणि अनेक नेत्यांवर त्या ठिकाणी खटले चालू असतील, अशा पक्षाने अशा प्रकारची यादी टाकण्याचा त्यांना नैतिक अधिकार तरी आहे का, हा माझा प्रश्न आहे। त्यामुळे पहिल्यांदा त्यांनी आरसा पाहावा आणि त्याच्यानंतर अशा प्रकारचं ट्वीट करावं।
क्यों भ्रम निर्माण करना चाहते हैं? अब संजय राठौड़ को क्लीन चिट किसने दी? पिछले सरकार ने। अब हमसे अपेक्षा क्यों कर रहे हैं? फिर आपने झूठा काम किया क्या?
उनकी निजी राय ये हो सकती है, लेकिन अभी पार्टी ने उनको टिकट दिया है। माननीय मुख्यमंत्री जी ने उनको टिकट दिया, मतलब मंत्री बनाया है। चित्रा जी की निजी राय है, लेकिन इंक्वायरी भी हुई है उनके बारे में कुछ स्पष्टता भी है। अभी सत्तार जी के बारे में भी कल से एलिगेशंस हो रहे हैं, उन्होंने भी कहा कि मेरी पूरी जांच की जाए, जांच के बाद में सब बातें सामने आएगी, अगर वो दोषी है तो उनके ऊपर कार्रवाई की जाएगी।
Regards to Sanjay Rathod issue, this was the prerogative of the Honorable Chief Minister, so I will not comment on that.
With that, we're slipping into a quick break here on this edition, but on the other side, we'll get you details of how law finally caught up with a VVIP goon neta here in Uttar Pradesh. Do stay tuned for those details.
The most pressing issue, the most informed minds, free and fair exchange. Converse India with Rahul Shivshankar.
3-4 ತಲೆಮಾರುಗಳಿಗೆ ಆಗುವಷ್ಟನ್ನು ನಾವು ಮಾಡಿಕೊಟ್ಟಿದ್ದೇವೆ ನೆಹರು, ಇಂದಿರಾ ಗಾಂಧಿ, ಸೋನಿಯಾ ಗಾಂಧಿ ಹೆಸರಲ್ಲಿ। ಕಾಂಗ್ರೆಸ್ ಅನ್ನು ಬಲಗೊಳಿಸಬೇಕು, ಸೋನಿಯಾ ಗಾಂಧಿ ಅವರಿಗೆ ಶಕ್ತಿ ತುಂಬಬೇಕು, ನೈತಿಕವಾಗಿ ಅವರಿಗೆ ಒಂದು ಸಮಾಧಾನ ಇವತ್ತು ಆಗಬೇಕು. ನನಗೆ ಒಂದು ಸಮನ್ಸ್ ಕೊಟ್ಟಿದ್ದಕ್ಕೆ ಕಾಂಗ್ರೆಸ್ನ ಕಾರ್ಯಕರ್ತರು ದೇಶಾದ್ಯಂತ ನನ್ನ ಜೊತೆಗೆ ನಿಂತಿದ್ದಾರೆ. ನನ್ನ ಗಂಡನ ಪ್ರಾಣ ಕಳ್ಕೊಂಡಿದ್ದಕ್ಕೆ, ನನ್ನ ಮಗನ ಕಷ್ಟಕ್ಕೆ, ನಮ್ಮ ಅತ್ತೆಯ ಕಷ್ಟಕ್ಕೆ, ನೆಹರು ಮಾಡಿದ ಕಷ್ಟಕ್ಕೆ ಈ ದೇಶದ ಜನ ನಮ್ಮ ಋಣ ತೀರಿಸಿಕೊಳ್ತಾ ಇದ್ದಾರೆ ಅಂತಕ್ಕಂಥ ಒಂದು ಸಮಾಧಾನ ಇವತ್ತು ಸೋನಿಯಾ ಗಾಂಧಿ ಅವರಿಗೆ ಆದ್ರೆ ನಾವೆಲ್ಲರೂ ತಿಂತಕ್ಕಂಥ 2 ಹೊತ್ತಿನ ಊಟ ಸಾರ್ಥಕ ಆಗುತ್ತೆ. 3-4 ತಲೆಮಾರುಗಳಿಗೆ ಆಗುವಷ್ಟನ್ನು ನಾವು ಮಾಡಿಕೊಂಡಿದ್ದೇವೆ. ನೆಹರು, ಇಂದಿರಾ ಗಾಂಧಿ, ಸೋನಿಯಾ ಗಾಂಧಿ ಹೆಸರಲ್ಲಿ ಈ ಕಿಂಚತ್ತು ತ್ಯಾಗಕ್ಕೆ ನಾವು ತಯಾರಾಗದೆ ಹೋದ್ರೆ ನಾವು ಇನ್ನು ಮುಂದಕ್ಕೆ ತಿಂತಕ್ಕಂಥ ಅನ್ನದಲ್ಲಿ ಹುಳು ಬೀಳುತ್ತೆ.
He has openly confessed, he has openly admitted. In fact, taking this cognizance, I think our agencies should book a case, should really book a case against him and also make an enquiry, because he would be knowing who are all the beneficiaries.